The wind of God. It's even better. Then sang Moses and the children of Israel this song unto the Lord. We are about to have it again. Burn! Burn! COVID-19! 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 I'll blow the wind of God from the state of Washington to the state of Maine, to Brownsville, Texas, and the tip of Florida. Today, we speak to this atmosphere. Today, burn this thing. This virus hates heat. You just burn this thing. Burn! Burn! I call for a supernatural heat wave straight out of hell. Burn! Burn! COVID-19! 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 I'll blow the wind of God. Get up! I heard the Lord say this to me several weeks ago. Kenneth, what? You believe me for a heat wave? I walked out in my backyard. I speak to this atmosphere. I call for a strong south wind. I call for a supernatural heat wave straight out of hell. Burn! Burn! COVID-19! 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 I'll blow the wind of God. Hey, in May, it hit triple digits. Hey, in May, a supernatural heat wave. Hey, in May, a supernatural heat wave straight out of hell. Burn! Burn! Oh, I'm telling you, it gets hot down there. It's Africa hot down there, man. Turn the air conditioner on. It gets hot down there. Hot fire. Man, it's hot. Oh, Lord. My goodness, it's hot in here. COVID-19! 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 I'll blow the wind of God. You don't do it. You don't do it. You don't do it. You get out of here now. Burn. You don't do it. You don't do it. You don't do it. You get out of here. Burn this thing. COVID-19. 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 I'll blow the wind of God. And they said, well, you know, and but they saw it.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to the Vanguard. For Spike, I tried to come up with something really good about DMX and Jewish thing in order to pay homage to a rapper I know you really cared about, but I couldn't come up with anything good enough. Cohen, I am Matt Wright, and together we are traversing the muddied waters of freedom.
Hey, folks, thanks so much for tuning into this. Well, I mean, they're all special at this point. This increasingly special episode of the Muddy Waters of Freedom. Be sure to like and share and comment and do all the things that Mark Zuckerberg et al. Do not want you to do. Definitely be sure to share this. Whatever you are listening to or watching this on, be sure to like us, follow us, subscribe to us, whatever the thing is that you do to be getting more of us. And if it's on YouTube, of course, be sure to go to not just press subscribe, but also hit the bell, because we want your phone to explode every time we go live. So be sure to do that. Thank you so much.
First and foremost, allow me to thank the wonderful people at siestacava.com for the kava that I am drinking on today's episode. Siestacava.com.
Yes. And allow me to thank Le Bleu Ultra Pure Water. koshernated and non-carbonated and kosherificated. And we determined that it's actually way more oxygen than it should be. Water shouldn't have that much water in it.
H3O or H.
It's like H3. It's like H3O. H4O.
It's like
H7O. Like it's way more. 89% oxygen. That's supposed to be more or less than that.
HO3.
Thank you, Bulavanaka.
Bulavanaka. Meg Jones just said my phone basically reaches climax when you all go live at this point. That is what we want for everybody. We want your phone to reach orgasmic climax every time that we go live.
There's an Usher joke in there, but
we're gonna make others later. So
we're gonna make others later, so we're not even gonna bother. So this episode, of course, is brought to you by the Libertarian Party Waffle House Caucus, the fastest growing waffle-related caucus in the Libertarian Party, or really any party or anywhere, because no one would do this. But if you want to become a member, go to Facebook. To go to the Facebook group Libertarian Party Waffle House Caucus to become a member today. But of course, if you want to become a duly seated voting member that means nothing. But if you want to do that for some reason, go to the Muddy Waters Media store by going to muddywatersmedia.com/store and find the button. Click on the button, and you can get buttons. You can also get hats. We have Waffle House hats and shirt. No, not hats. We have shirts. Do we have hats?
We don't have hats.
Okay, no hats, but we do have shirts, and you can become a member today. This episode, of course, is also brought to you by the Gravy King. This episode is brought to you by Nug of Knowledge, smokable CBD. It's weed. If Nug of Knowledge is not your average CBD supplier, because it's weed, and they also have a medicinal program for people who want weed, and they also are helping to end the war on drugs by selling weed on the internet. So if you want to buy weed on the internet, also, people who use this weed say that it helps them because it's weed, and that's what happens when you smoke weed. So if you want to buy weed on the internet, go to nugofknowledge.com to buy your weed, and be sure to use checkout code SPIKE for 10% off. This episode, of course, is also brought to you by Joe Here we go. Nope. This episode also is brought to you by Joe Solosky, running for Pennsylvania governor. Joe Solosky is the key to Pennsylvania's success. And if you want to help him in his run as a libertarian for the governor of Pennsylvania, go to Joe Solosky, JoeSoloski.com. I did it. And you can find out how you can help him today. This episode is brought to you by the most aptly named product in existence, Mud Water. Get it? Huh? Mud Water. Which is actually, it tastes not terrible. We have both tried it now, and it's actually...
Yeah, the more you drink it, the better it gets.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It grows on you, like the mushrooms that are in it. If you are drinking coffee and you say to myself, you know what, this gets me too hyped up, and it doesn't have nearly enough mushrooms in it, then I have a fantastic news for you, friend. Mud Water has created a coffee alternative that's based... it has masala chai, or chai, if you're Jewish. It's got cacao, not just cocoa, but cacao. Also, if you're Jewish, it has mushrooms, not those kinds of mushrooms, but the kind of mushrooms you would have if you're Jewish. It has turmeric in it, it has sea salt, it has cinnamon, and that's it. And I know what you're thinking. Those things all would definitely be delicious together. Yeah, with a little bit of honey, absolutely. So you want to try that. It's very good for you. It's healthy, much better than coffee, and it's good stuff, folks. Go to muddywatersmedia.com/mud to get yours today. This episode is brought to you by personal injury attorney Chris Reynolds, attorney at law. If you find yourself injured personally through a personal injury in Florida, then I'm sorry. But then also you can then go to Chris Reynolds, personal injury attorney Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, and you can have him represent you in a court of law, civil court. And you can have him sue the people that did that to you, and there's a good chance he'll get you some money. So head on over to chrisreynoldslaw.com but actually be injured. Don't just, someone hurt my feeling. No, they have it really got to be something deep.
If they want to go to chrisreynoldslaw.com just to go to chrisreynoldslaw.com because they want to check out the website, see what Chris Reynolds Law is all about, that's fine too. You can do that, but don't call him unless you've been.
Yeah, don't call him.
And fun fact, I learned this from one of his social medias. I'm not sure which one, but today is Be Nice to a Lawyer Day. So be nice to Chris Reynolds today.
Be nice to Chris Reynolds by hiring him if you are personally injured. And be nice to him. Be nice. If there is an attorney that I would be nice to, it would be Chris Reynolds. So you should do that too.
To all of those watching saying that I am on a delay, yes, we know. Blame Skype.
Yeah, that's Skype. Here, let's try. Here, we'll try this before we go too far. Let's see if it's not going to work. Let's see if this works. It's definitely not going to, but let's see if it does. I cannot stand Skype. I hate Skype so much.
We hate Skype here at Muddied Waters, but when we...
Nope. They can't hear you now. Here we Yep. Okay. And then we try this. Here, you say more things.
Okay. Matt Hicks wants to know if we...
Nope.
Well, no, you're not an attorney, so it's not Be Nice to Matt Hicks Day.
No, you're not an attorney yet.
No, you don't. It's not.
This isn't Be Nice to Matt Hicks Day.
Right. This is Be Nice.
This isn't Be Nice to Law Student Day.
Right. If this was
God
Be
forbid
Nice
there
to
even
Law
is one
Day,
of those
that
types
would be
of things.
different. But this is Be Nice to a Lawyer Day.
Yeah. No, this is not. You get back to us on Be Nice to a Law Student Day, bud, because that's. I doubt there is such a thing. Now I know what there is though, such a thing of, and that's the nope. Yeah? No, we do the guest first.
We do the guest first.
We do the guest first.
I
know what is real, and that's our next guest.
That's right.
He's running for be the next lieutenant governor of Pennsylvania, along with this guy right here, Solosky. He's running with Joe Solosky, who's running for governor. He's running for lieutenant governor. Nope, that's the wrong thing right there. And he is running for lieutenant governor of the great state of Pennsylvania.
He's running for state senator.
Why do my notes say lieutenant governor? Oh, no. Because I copied. He's running for state senator representing District 48. I knew that because I just wrote something about him. But I relied on my notes, which were wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, 48th District of Pennsylvania. I think he should run for, well, I don't say that.
No, last guest in for that.
Yeah. Welcome to the show, Tim McMaster. Thank you so much for joining us from York.
It's good to be here, guys. I don't know if I'm quite ready for the upgrade to lieutenant governor just yet, although I am supporting Nicole Schultz for that position.
Yes, that's who's running for that position.
I had Nicole on my episode on Thursday. She is wonderful.
Yes, she is. And we just did a town hall in Lebanon, which is the seat of Lebanon County, in the district here with Joe and Nicole and myself. So that was quite an outstanding afternoon we had.
Nice.
Yeah, that's really good. And again, I know that you're running for the special election in District 48. I literally made a video encouraging people to vote for you, among others that were in the special election.
Yeah, there's four of us libertarians for the special elections this year. So you should have remembered that, sir.
Yes, I know. I should have remembered this. No, you guys are great. It speaks to the amazing nature of the whole Moulton maneuver thing, where Pennsylvania libertarians are leading the way in running for these local offices and winning a lot of them. And there are more. Pennsylvania has, I believe, more elected libertarians at the state level than any other state. Isn't that correct?
It absolutely does. Yeah. State level and local offices as well.
I love it. I'm so happy about that. And Pennsania is, it's not a small state, but
beautiful thing.
Yeah, and Pennsylvania is not a small state, but it's not. I mean, it's not one of the larger states, but they've done an incredible job with that. Hopefully, we're going to replicate that across the country. So, Tim, tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us why you're running for the state senate spot.
So a little bit about myself. I am a former heavy metal drummer, former professional wrestler, current IT analyst, and goat farmer. Not a politician. I really don't ever want to be accused of being a politician. I'm just a guy who's fed up with the BS and the bureaucracy and the cronyism that I see in Harrisburg. And with the passing of the former senator for this seat, David Arnold, in January, it seemed like a great opportunity to sort of put some of those liberty-minded principles that I have into action on a state level and go in there and, pardon the expression, kick some ass.
That's awesome. You certainly don't have to pardon that expression here.
I
try to keep it PG because my kids are watching.
That's fair. I think the question that is immediately upon all of our viewers' minds is, what was your wrestling name?
When I first started out, it was simply Loco because I was sort of crazy. And then it was Porter, Porter, which was kind of patterned after. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Payback with Mel Gibson. His character was named Porter. He was a bad guy, but he had morals. So that was kind of my gimmick when I wrestled.
Okay.
And I wasn't very good at it. If I was better at it, I'd probably still be doing it.
But you did it, and that's what counts.
You did it.
Yeah, I did it.
That's what matters, is you did it.
Like, we literally did not do that. So you got that on us, if nothing else.
And you were a heavy metal drummer?
Yes, I was.
Like, I know I say this a lot, but you might be my favorite candidate out there right now.
Well, I appreciate it, but I also raise goats too, so, and everybody loves baby goats.
That's true.
There's nothing about you that isn't cool. Like, you were a wrestler and a heavy metal drummer. Oh, and you raised goats. Like, the least interesting thing about you is that you're running for this office. Like, that's
yeah, probably.
IT analysis.
Yeah, the day job. That's what pays the bills.
That's funny. So, what are some of the things that you're running on? What are your main issues for running for this seat?
So, some of the big things that I want to really stress is I want to lower on the path to outright eliminating our Pennsylvania state income tax to create Pennsylvania as a tax haven, so that we can attract more businesses, we can attract and retain better employees. I also am going to be working with, if I'm elected, with a Republican actually, on a constitutional carry amendment to make Pennsylvania the 18th constitutional carry state in the U.S. So that would be something I'd be very proud to sign on to. I also want to decrease government spending and try to force this legislature that actually already only works about half the time into being a part-time legislature with a 50% pay cut, starting at the governor and going all the way down to me. I know there's going to be resistance on that, but
you think?
I think it'll be pretty popular with the voters, and it's something I'm definitely passionate about.
I can see there being some resistance in the legislature about that.
Yeah, but we're going to have...
It's like, here, guys, I got this bill for you to sign. What's it say? It's a thing. You just got to... just like some odds and ends stuff.
We're going to take half your money and give it to, nobody. We're just not going to spend it. Sign it anyway.
Yeah. Here, just sign it.
Way to save a bunch of money, and we're not switching car insurance. All you have to do is sign this. Don't read it. Just sign.
Don't worry about it. It's going to save a bunch of money.
No body slams involved.
Yes. Yeah. Sign this. No one gets hurt. I love it, man. Listen, this is the kind of stuff that is going to get libertarians elected. That's a very short and concise message that you just had there. Let's create a tax haven so that businesses come here and new businesses can grow in Pennsylvania. Let's cut the salary of these politicians in Harrisburg, right? That's where.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Across America, Pennsylvania has one of the highest paid legislatures in America. Our governor now makes almost $200,000 a year. $200,000 a year. And he works maybe on a good month, 12 days a year or 12 days a month. And that's a good month for him.
And good work if you can get it.
No, he can get by on less than that.
He can get by on about 100,000.
Or, honestly, even less than that. I mean, when I was wrestling, I was getting by on like $20-$30 a night plus a couple of hot dogs at the concession stand on the way out. So It can be done.
include that in your like seriously, if you're not already saying stuff like that when you're campaigning, you have to. Like, this is the stuff that makes people go, yeah, wait a second, I used to live on $30. It also shows you're relatable. Like, it shows that when people are like, how could I possibly live on $100,000? No, you could easily do that, schmuck. Like, that's a lot of us are doing that.
It's just a matter of priorities, and their priority in Harrisburg is taking money from us to give to them, and I refute that. I'm going to stand in the way of that, and I'm going to fight against that tooth and nail.
And constitutional carry, I love that. That makes me do all of those things were music to my ears, man.
Yeah. Well, here's something else you may not have known. I am the first libertarian to challenge for this seat this century. Now, granted, the century is only 21 years old at this point.
Even still, yeah.
It's still. It's a factoid.
It sounds so much.
So somebody.
It sounds so much cooler to say that.
A libertarian ran for that seat in the previous century.
No, we just couldn't. So here's another thing that I'm kind of running on is this is the third or one of the top 3 worst gerrymandered districts in this state. Like, it is utterly ridiculous. It doesn't look anything at all like a legislative district. It looks like a county has like an elephant arm and a trunk. Like, it's just wholly bizarre. So this district has been gerrymandered and rigged so much that it's constantly changing shape. So right around the year 99 2000 time frame is when they extended it to extend probably about half as many people as it currently had, so that it technically doubled in size population wise, but it like tripled in size geographically, which is I don't even know what their logic is to try and do that. Like, how could they possibly explain doing that? And yet they did it because that's Harrisburg and that's what they do.
Yeah, I'm actually pulling up what the map looks like so you can see. It looks.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That was a good description that you gave there. It's like a weird elephant nose thing happening.
Yeah, it's Lebanon County and then like a third arm or something. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
So it's part
like
of
a baby's
Dauphin County there in the middle, and then York County down the side.
It's like a baby's arm holding Lebanon County.
Yeah, if you zoom in on it at one point, it looks kind of like a zombie face, but you got to squint really hard to see it.
Yeah, that's weird. So, you clearly are the best person running, and I haven't interviewed anyone else in your district. But anyone who wants to lower taxes, who wants to, or actually eliminate taxes, eliminate the income tax.
We're going to eliminate the state income tax. We're going to lower property taxes. We're going to push through constitutional carry. And on the back of all that, once that's done, to celebrate, we're going to decriminalize victimless crimes.
Nice.
I love it. This is the good stuff. And again, you're a goat farming former wrestler, heavy metal drummer.
And I am.
So there's nothing about you that isn't cool. I mean, I guess the IT thing is kind of whatever, but but honestly, you know what? The fact that you're an IT guy and you do all that actually makes that cool too. So
well, honestly,
how can
the most un-IT guy you've ever met? Like, if I could go back to a flip phone
guy
or smoke signals and carrier pigeons, I totally would. If I could go completely off the grid and just farm and hang out with my goats all day, I totally would.
That's actually a lot of IT people, though, I've noticed. Like, especially once they know, like, all the spying and stuff that's happening, they use, like, you know, the old Nokia phones, and they break them every month and replace them with another one, and, like, they don't really they kind of live off the grid, and they're in IT, but I think it's because they know.
Too long when you have a Faraday cage next to your bed.
Yeah. Do you have a Faraday cage next to your bed?
I can neither confirm, deny, nor comment on that.
Oh, that's so cool. He totally does. That's what's so cool about it. So, Tim, how can people help you with your campaign if they want to get involved?
So, the big thing to take away from this is there are actually 4 candidates in this particular race. There's a Republican, a Democrat, as well as an independent, and myself, the cool candidate. So we're kind of fighting an uphill battle, but I think we got them on the ropes, but we need a little more help pushing over the finish line. So anybody that wants to help can go to tim2021.com/donate, tim2021.com/donate.
tim2021.com/donate.
Right.
And I'm going to add some more.
Timothy McMaster for PA48, you know, the usual channels, but.
Oh, Timothy. That's why it wasn't coming up when I was trying to tag you. I'm going to add some more metaphors there, that because you had the on the ropes analogy. We've got him on the ropes, and we want to get you to your drum solo. So
I have to get up the drum riser.
Up the drum
So
riser.
fireworks can happen.
And goats.
And
Couldn't
be
work the goats in.
the goat in Harrisburg.
Oh, help him be the GOAT by going to tim2021.com/donate.
I was practicing for this interview tonight by doing a lot of food puns with my 12-year-old. So
that was good practice. That was good practice.
Tim, before we let you go, there's been a lot of questions in the comments of who is your favorite drummer?
Wow, that's a deep question. I mean, how does one grade musical composition, skill, showmanship, longevity?
Just remember, it's a 2-hour show.
Probably combining all those aspects. Top of my head, Neil Peart.
I was gonna say, who is your favorite drummer and why is it Neil Peart? But I did not want to assume that.
I mean, Neil Peart stands alone. I mean, one time I tried to play YYZ and I felt like my arm was gonna fall off, and I was like, I'm gonna go raise goats now.
I never drummed again. I became a goat farmer after trying to do that. That's funny, man. Well, hey, Tim, thank you so much. Everyone, tim2021.com/donate. Timothy McMaster for State Senate, Pennsylvania 48. If you start typing that in, it'll come up on Facebook. And thank you so much for coming, man, and good luck with your campaign.
All right. Thank you very much, guys. Have a wonderful evening.
You too.
Thank you, man. That's cool. Hey, thank you for not getting mad when I said you were running for lieutenant governor. What's so crazy is I knew that. And as I'm saying it, I'm like, wait.
You kept saying it. I was like,
I
no.
just kept going. And I'm like, I mean, I wrote it down in my thing, but then when I was copy pasting, I put the thing. By the way, speaking of people, what in the hell is wrong?
I don't know why it does that.
Why does it do that? Anyway, keep talking.
Anyway. Yeah, we have now had Joe Solosky, who's running for governor. We have had, oh my goodness, why am I blanking on my new best friend's name? Nicole Schultz, who is running for lieutenant governor. She was on my show last week. She also has a Etsy store for her farm called Ugly Acres, and we have jam on the way to the Wright Anderegg household that Sarah is very excited about. I'm excited about my shirt, but she's excited about the jam.
Hey, I like things.
Well, go onto her Etsy store and order a bunch of jam, and she will probably throw in a shirt for you.
That's how you do it. That's how you do it.
And now we've had Tim McMaster. Like we have had like a Pennsylvania gauntlet of libertarian activists running for office.
Yeah. But this is how it is. This is how it is in Pennsylvania. They're killing it there. They are running, and a few of them are going to win those races. Like they're running. Pennsylvania, if every state were going like Pennsylvania, and I'm not calling out other states. Some other states are doing great jobs too. But if every state were operating like Pennsylvania, we'd have thousands of elected libertarians already. Like we wouldn't just have hundreds. We'd have thousands of them. They're absolutely good. They're doing incredible, and it's named after, I think, Chuck Moulton. It's called the Moulton Maneuver, and his whole thing was just run a bunch of people in races across the country. And I've seen in the data that the states that have the most libertarians running across the ballot, they actually do better in the presidential race. The presidential ticket does better. Joe and I did better in those states that had more candidates running. And the idea, the theory is that the more people are seeing seeing libertarians, the more they're likely they are to go, oh, I wonder who they have running for I wonder if they have someone running for president, and if so, who it is. And they look us up and go, oh, wow, they're way better than anyone else, and we're more likely to get votes. So it's good stuff for everyone running.
It's akin to the old Eddie Murphy movie, The Distinguished Gentleman, for anybody who knows that movie.
Yes.
He runs for Congress, and he's running in his district, but he has the same name as the guy who was in office who died. And he just assumed that people didn't know that the guy had died. So he runs under Thomas Jefferson, the name you know. And he just runs for that. And he ends up winning because they knew the name. And if you know the name, people are more likely to vote for the name. That's why so many people get reelected, because they already know the name that's in office. If you continually see the L, you start recognizing the L, and you start learning about what the people who have the L stand for, then you'll start looking into it more. The more you see it, the more it comes into your brain, the more you think about it. And that's why in places where they run a lot of libertarians, Spike did well during the presidential.
Folks, you're watching a special episode of the Muddy Waters of Freedom with Henry McMaster and Ron DeSantis. We are happy to have you here.
Well, if it's with Ron DeSantis, it's getting pulled off of YouTube.
Oh, yeah?
You didn't hear about that?
No.
Ron DeSantis did a roundtable, definitely not in our notes, but Ron DeSantis did a roundtable with a doctor from Harvard, one from Oxford, and one from somewhere else. And they were talking about whether or not kids should wear masks. And the doctors were like, no, you don't have to wear masks. They don't have to wear masks. You know, they're kids, whatever. And DeSantis was like, so you're telling me that I don't need to make the kids in my state wear masks to go to...
Is that how he talks?
Yes. To have them go to school. And they were like, no, that's completely unnecessary. And yeah, YouTube pulled it. It was doctors that were saying you don't need to do it. It was doctors from like Harvard and like not University of Phoenix, Fauci. But
wait, is Fauci a Phoenix?
I don't know. I honestly don't know where Fauci
Oh, that would be so funny.
That would be so funny. America's doctor.
I'm Dr. Fauci, and I rise. So
from the ashes of COVID.
From the ashes. Am I the only one that remembers the University of Phoenix ads where they're like, no, I'm such and such, and I rise. And they like would all do this.
Yeah.
And it was like, I got my...
Their most famous graduates, Larry Fitzgerald.
Well, he rose.
He did.
But you know who also is rising? Black cold brewed organic coffee, who brings us the Black cold brewed caffeinated rapid fire segment, brought to you by Black cold brewed organic coffee, spelled BLVCK, the most delicious cold brewed organic coffee to ever be horrifically misspelled. Go to blackbrews.com, blvckbrews.com, and use code MW to get free shipping on your misspelled coffee, Matt.
Yes. It's good. It's good coffee. It's
good coffee.
It is. I am so overly caffeinated today. I did not have any mud water today, but I had so much. I had 2 cups of coffee, a bar that was made out of pure coffee, like a chocolate bar, but it's not chocolate. It's pure coffee.
Is it cacao?
No. It had literally none of those ingredients.
So are you like that time that I had like
cacao?
What did I have? I had something
cacao.
Like a bubble tea or
cacao.
something like that. And that was with me, you, and Josh Smith, and I was like, "Hey guys, hey!" I would just start. Is that how you feel right now?
Well, no, I'm on the tail end of it, and I'm gonna start.
Oh, you're gonna start crashing. Oh, good.
Yeah,
that's perfect.
Bank shortly before the show, but.
All right. Well, Magnus is gonna be coming up shortly, so he can just fill in for you when you start to like really just nod off. So that'll be perfect timing. So, speaking of nodding off, oh God, wow.
Ooh. In Windsor, Virginia, Windsor police officer Joe Gutierrez, former Windsor police officer Joe Gutierrez has now been fired.
Well, that's good.
That is
but
good.
Yes.
This is a result of a traffic stop in December in which former cop Joe Gutierrez and current cop Daniel Crocker pulled over Second Lieutenant Karen Nazario.
And here's what happened. They pulled just to right here. So they pulled him over for the fact that his license wasn't visible, even though it was visible. He had just bought the car, so he didn't have permanent plates. He had the cardboard plate taped to his window, the inside of his window. You could see it. They pulled him over. He drove for about, like a half mile at the speed limit to get to a well-lit area. And so they called that a felony traffic stop. And here's what they did because of that.
What did I do?
Get out now!
I have not committed any crime.
You're being stopped for a traffic violation. You're not cooperating at this point right now. You're under arrest
For a traffic-
You're being detained. Okay, you're being detained for
For
obstruction
a
of justice.
traffic violation, I do not have to get out the vehicle. You haven't even told
Really?
me why I'm being stopped.
Really?
Get your hands.
Get out of the car now. Get out of the car.
Get your hands.
Everything he's saying is correct, by the way. He does not have to get out of the car for a traffic violation. At no point did they even tell him what he was being detained for. They said that he was resisting arrest and obstructing justice at this point, but they never actually, they pointed guns and threatened him, but they never actually told him why they were doing this. So he was actually well within his rights to do everything he was doing, and they were violating the law and their code of ethics by doing what they were doing. So
Hands off me, please. Get your hands off me.
You know what?
Get your hands off me. Get your hands off me.
Back up,
I
Daniel.
didn't do anything.
now keep in mind, when someone uses pepper spray or a taser, the only reason you're supposed to use it is if you feel that your life or safety are in danger. This officer is looking away from the person that supposedly has him in such danger that he has to pepper spray him. This is purely, listen to me or I'm going to hurt you. Like, there is no actual, he's just punishing him for actually obeying the law and telling him what he's supposed to be doing.
Don't do that.
Sir, get out of the car
Don't do
now.
that.
Hey, sir, get out of the car now.
Don't do. I'm trying to talk
Get out.
to you.
Okay.
I'm trying to
I'm gonna
talk.
talk. Get out. Just get out of the
Relax.
car.
Can you please
Get out.
relax? Can
Get
you
out.
please relax?
Get out of the car right now. Now.
This is not how you treat a vet. I'm actively serving this country, and this is how you're gonna treat me.
Back up, Daniel.
I didn't do any.
Back up.
Whoa, hold on.
Back
What's going? Hold on. Watch it.
And 4 OCs deployed. Get out of the car. Get out of the car now.
Up.
Car now.
Sir, just get out the car.
I'm trying to breathe.
Get out of the car now.
That's up. That's really up.
Yeah, get out of the car and get on the ground now. You're gonna get it again.
I don't even want to reach my seatbelt. Can you?
Take your seatbelt off and get out of the car.
Can you please?
Now, he's told him to put his hands up and to also take his seatbelt off and get out of the car while keeping his hands up. Anyone who's watched the Daniel Shaver movie knows where that goes, right? When the police give you conflicting orders and they tell you to do something that results in you not putting your hands up after all this, yeah, that's how you get shot. So he's doing exactly what any normal, reasonable person would do in this situation.
Get out of the car now. Listen, take off your seatbelt and get out of the car.
Look, I'm just gonna please.
You're gonna do as you're told. Get out of the car.
Look.
Take your seatbelt off and get out of the.
Look.
Take your seatbelt off.
Look, my hands are out.
Take your seatbelt off and get out of the
My
car.
hands are out.
Don't reach in there, Daniel. Don't reach in there.
My hands are out. Please. Please. Look. This is really messed up. My dog is in the back. My dog is choking right now.
Get out of the car. Take your seatbelt off. What are you, a specialist, corporal? What are you?
I'm a lieutenant.
Lieutenant, get out of the car. Take your seatbelt off and get out of the car. You made this way more difficult than it had to be. You just complied. Get out of the car.
So because some of you can already hear it, what happened before this video?
Could you hear me when that was going on?
No.
Okay. I didn't think so. I kept saying things and I was like, there's no response happening. So, okay.
Yeah, no, I couldn't hear what you were saying. There is the full video is available. It's like 7 minutes long. And I actually have it on my social media, and it shows the whole when they first turn the car on, turn the camera on because they start following him all the way through. It literally, all we left out was boring parts where they pull him over, and then pretty much to where they get out and pull weapons on him and call in that it's a felony traffic stop, and then start making threats to him. That's literally all that's not missing from this. All that's missing from it.
Did you see the video? Did you see the end when the paramedics are there?
Yep.
When they were saying, you don't tell anybody about this or we'll make your life really hard. If you tell anybody that this went on, like we will press charge. Like they were intimidating him by saying that we will end your career in the military. And I didn't see that until this morning. And I almost included that today, but I didn't have time to make it. I didn't have time to make it in between work and doing this. But yeah, when I saw that, the fact that Joe Gutierrez's job lasted as long as it did is beyond me. And now Lieutenant Nazario.
I think it's Nazario, yeah.
I think it's Nazario. Lieutenant Nazario is suing the Windsor Police Department for like $1 million.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
No, good.
He keep in mind, because people will say, oh, well, he was just pepper sprayed. Imagine a situation where you have two officers of the law making violent threats to you. Because again, some of the worst parts of this weren't in the video. Like at the beginning when they're literally, he's asking them, why have I been pulled over? Why have I been pulled over? And they're saying, you're about to ride the lightning, which is a threat of, I've heard that it's a threat of tasing and a threat of execution, whatever. They're making threats to him of some kind. They're pointing firearms at him the entire time while he has his arms out. They're screaming at him. And, just imagine being in that situation and then being pepper sprayed when you're doing everything you're supposed to do. He correctly and calmly explained to them, these two cops that are freaking out on him, they're the ones holding firearms. He should be the one that should be able to freak out in that situation because of how frightening that is. But he's calmly and rationally explaining to them that in a traffic stop, he is not required to get out. And he doesn't feel, oh, that's the part that was left. He says, they said, get out of the car. And he said, I'm honestly scared to get out of the car. And the officer says, yeah, you should be. Well, that confirms that I shouldn't get out of the car then.
Now I'm not getting out of the car.
Now I'm definitely not getting out of the car.
I'm going to keep my hands here outside of the window.
Yep.
So that way you can see them and you have no reason to think that I am reaching for anything. I think the main reason he wasn't going for his seatbelt is because he was afraid if he reached back for his seatbelt, he was going to get Daniel shavered all over the inside of his car.
Exactly. Yep. That is exactly what would happen. We all saw, anyone who watched the Daniel Shaver video, and first of all, if you haven't seen it yet, warning, you're going to watch someone get murdered who's crying and begging to not get shot. And the police make him, the officer that kills him is holding a rifle to him and is giving him these weird conflicting orders, telling him to crawl but also have his hands up and to put his hands back behind his back, but also to put his hands up. And it was like this weird game of Simon Says with conflicting orders. At no point was this guy a threat. He's sobbing uncontrollably, and the officer shoots him dead. When he finally did one of the things he was told to do, he shoots him dead. So no, my hands are staying up. If I'm getting that kind of treatment, I don't care what they tell me to do. My hands are staying up. No way at all. Now, thankfully, Joe Gutierrez does have some people who are saying this was perfectly fine.
Yes.
Right?
But
yes.
I thought you were going to put up the graphic. Yeah, not everyone saw this as an open and shut case that it appears to be based on the body cam footage that we all just watched. As Greg Kelly of Newsmax attempts to say that he's racist without actually saying the words, I'm a racist.
One more little tidbit. The bad Lieutenant Nazario had a loaded gun on the floor of his car in the front seat by his leg, something the corrupt folks in the media won't say for some quote-unquote reason. I don't know, maybe because he's an active duty Army lieutenant.
Yeah. The fact he had a legally owned weapon. He was in the military.
God.
He had a gun. The bad lieutenant.
He had a gun. I assume this is a Second Amendment supporting constitutional conservative on Newsmax, right?
100% that guy is.
Because the Second Amendment ain't for hunting, folks. It's for fighting against tyranny. Unless you're brown. Or
unless you're an Afro-Latino Army lieutenant, and then I don't want you to have one.
Who's being pepper sprayed by the police I have to look at this. This is beautiful. The bad Lieutenant Nazario had a loaded gun. He had a gun, folks.
He had a gun in Virginia.
Yes, open carry state, Virginia. This active duty military officer who remained calm while having firearms pointed at him. Obviously, also, of course, folks, the police, Joe Gutierrez, being a ESP telepath, knew that there was a gun on the car, which is why he was freaking out. And some people might say, well, Spike, they can't possibly know. Yeah, you're right. They should definitely do that to every person they pull over. That is 100% how they should treat every person that they pull over on the odd chance that they might have a capital GUN in their car. That tweet, I want to frame this tweet and put it up next to my photo of Ronald Reagan signing the Mulford Act. This is amazing.
Yeah, that when I started seeing that tweet get shared around, and I was like, why do I know the name Greg Kelly? And I looked it up, and I was like, oh, it literally is the meme of the guy who's having a trouble making the decision on which button to push, and it's all
yeah.
the MAGA people, and they're like,
yep,
back the blue or support our.
No,
troops.
He slammed the back the blue button.
Yeah, he slammed back the blue. He had no.
He said, "Which one's darker?" Oh, the army. Boom, back the blue. Gutierrez, is that he's light skinned? Boom. That's wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Gutierrez, what he did in that encounter was atrocious. Because the dude Nazario had the plate in the back of his window, and I was telling somebody this story the other day. I may have been telling it on the show, actually. I'm not even 100% sure anymore. I was driving home one night. I had just switched my license plates over from Virginia to Tennessee, and I was driving home, and I was nearly blackout. And I get pulled over for not having plates on my car. And the cop walked up, and I was like, well, this is it. I'm going to jail. I'm 100% going to jail. And he saw that I had the plate in the back window. And I rolled down the window, and before I even got a word out, he goes, never mind, you're good, and he just let me go. And
so literally the same situation as this guy.
Situation.
No plates, blackout windows. But something was, as Greg Kelly did it, for some reason, you were let go.
Yeah. Can't figure out what that one was. But
it'll just remain a mystery forever. And this was in Virginia, right?
This was in it was Tennessee. But,
okay.
But yeah, I was like, and I was definitely breaking the law. I was well over the legal limit for alcohol. Well over it.
Oh yeah, and Nazario, incidentally, no drugs, no nothing in his system, and the cops knew that they screwed up when they were sitting there going, "Listen, we can ruin your career if you tell anyone about that." They knew what they had just done. They realized how much they had just screwed up.
Yeah.
And yes, they knew he had a gun by then because he had the right to. It's Virginia, which is an open carry state. He's an active duty military. Why the hell wouldn't he have a gun? Of course he would. In fact, it'd be weird if he didn't have a gun. He's active duty military, guys. Yeah. And he's off base. So yeah, no, he would definitely have a gun. And I love that. This is the best tweet I've ever seen in my life.
Ever. That tweet is gold. That tweet is so gold.
I want to retweet this without context and just be like, here, look at that. Everyone has to see this. I'm not even going to tell you what I think. Just here, look at this.
Honestly, the most important tweet of our lifetimes.
This is peak 2021 tweet here, I think. That's incredible. So we have another situation with an officer that is much more tragic, unfortunately. This is in a Minneapolis suburb because, of course, Minneapolis hasn't had enough issues with police brutality recently.
I want to point out before we go any deeper on this, Brooklyn Center is a suburb of Minneapolis. This did not take place in New York. I've seen a lot of people online saying, why did he have the gun charge with the New York laws and everything? Brooklyn Center is a suburb of Minneapolis.
Okay.
I just want to point that out for anybody who did not realize that as of yet.
So in a suburb of Minneapolis, an officer who as of yet has not been identified. There is actually a video of this.
She actually has now. I meant to put that in the notes today too. I will look that up. I know she retired. So there is video of this, but if we were to show it, we will 100% be demonetized. An officer whose name Matt is getting shot, Duante Wright, who was 20 years old. Mr. Wright had been initially pulled over because of an expired registration on the vehicle he was driving. Big, serious criminal stuff. The police did release the body cam footage, so you can find it online. In the video, the officer appears to shout "taser" before firing the gun. The video is not sure why she would shout that. So, Kimberly Potter is her name. Kimberly Potter, she is a veteran of the force of 25 years. She was actually training somebody that night. The way that they do in Minneapolis. And,
what a training.
So apparently in Minneapolis, the way that they train you is that your gun is on your dominant side and your taser is on your non-dominant side. So for me, the taser would be on the left and the gun would be on the right.
Right.
And they, according to Chief Tim Gannon of the Brooklyn Center PD, he said, "This appears to me, from what I viewed, and the officer's reaction and distress immediately after, that this was an accidental discharge that resulted in the tragic death of Mr. Wright." Because they are saying in the video, so what happens, you see what happened was, Duante Wright got pulled over because his tags were expired. While they were running the tags, they realized that he had 2 warrants out for his arrest. One for illegal possession of a firearm, and the other for aggravated robbery.
Okay.
So they were arresting him. They were going to arrest, or not. It wasn't for aggravated robbery. It was for failure to appear for aggravated robbery. And so they were arresting him there on the spot. They had left his door open. They had left his car door open and the keys in the ignition. And he saw a moment where he jumped into the car and they were trying to hold him back. And she reached in and pulled out her gun and she yelled, "Taser, taser, taser." So everybody would back up. And then she fired the gun and she said, "Oh, bleep, I just shot him." She didn't say bleep. She said shit. I don't know why I did
Right.
that.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, I don't know why I did that. So that is why Chief Tim Gannon says that the officer's reaction distress immediately after that this was an accidental discharge that resulted in the tragic death of Mr. Wright. Now, personally, I'm not saying that this wasn't an accident. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it was an accident.
It might very well be. Yep.
But if you have a police officer who can't tell the difference between her taser and her gun, she should
while
not
holding it.
While holding it and pointing it, she should not be on the force. This is a person who should not be on the force. Now, I don't care about his weapons charge because if he should be, shall not be infringed.
The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Yeah.
The aggravated robbery, in which he choked some woman and tried to steal her rent money and held a gun to her head. Okay, that crime, get it? Yes,
that's a crime.
100% crime.
Yeah.
He got released on bail on $100,000 bound, and he was supposed to show up for court, and he didn't. So, yes, he deserved due process for that crime.
Yep.
He deserved due process for that crime, and he should have gotten it.
Yep.
You knew where he lived. Granted, he tried to run and you knew he had a gun. You don't know if he had the gun on him, but you know he has one because of the guns charge. But if you had just let him drive away, you could have gone to his house and arrested him. You could have gone to his girlfriend's house, who was in the car with them.
Right. He wasn't going to do a multi-state thing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like
and also, go ahead.
Like Jacob says in the comments, cops are not the judge or jury, and they aren't.
Exactly.
They are not. If she was in fear of her life, whether Kimberly Potter was in fear of her life or not, she wasn't in fear of her life because she thought she pulled the taser and not the gun.
Exactly.
According to her, you should have just let him go and gone to arrest him.
Yeah, or maybe know your arms better, because there is no taser that feels like a gun, and she had to know what her equipment felt like. Again, in the heat of the moment, you do whatever, and that. But here's what I will say: in a similar situation, if one of us accidentally shot someone and killed them instead of tasing them, we would be arrested. There would not be this, internal investigation and put them on desk duty. That we would be arrested while they determined. Like this is the thin blue line that we constantly are hearing about, and that is making people increasingly angry and frustrated. You cannot have two sets of standards for justice in this country. If we are held to one standard, the police need to be held to that standard too. If the police are held to one standard, we need to be held to that standard too. You can't have it where, she's a cop, so we have to give special deference. No, you don't. If anything, if there were going to be any double standard, it should be that their standard's higher, because they're the ones that are actually authorized to use deadly force in cases that we're not, or not deadly force, but use force in cases that we certainly would not be. So they need to be held even more accountable. At the very least, they need to be held as accountable, not much less accountable. That makes no sense at all.
The fact that Joe Gutierrez got fired shocks. Like, it shouldn't surprise me.
I was surprised
that Joe Gutierrez got fired, but I was shocked that he got fired. And my first thought when I read it was, I bet he still gets his pension.
He might.
That was my very first thought, was I bet he still gets his pension, as opposed to being fired with no pension, no benefits, just gone. And that is a problem.
Yeah, we need to end qualified immunity.
That is a problem.
Yeah, we need to end qualified immunity. We need to really look at these police unions. We need to look at public employee unions in general. Public employee unions are basically organizations that use taxpayer money to advocate for more taxpayer money and less accountability for their members. But when it's police, people can die. So that is a special edition, a special level of, what do we have? Oh, good, a moth. We have a moth here. So there's going to be a tiny moth flying around me for the rest of the show, apparently. We need to be looking at police unions and deciding if that's even something that we truly need. That seems to be increasingly unpopular across the board, the police unions. And we also need to, a very interesting suggestion that was made at a justice forum that I attended last week. Someone suggested in Atlanta that, we've heard the thing about that the police officers should have to carry liability insurance. But here's the kicker to that. It needs to be private insurance. And if they can't get covered, they can't serve. So if they have a complaint against them, no insurance company is going to touch them. So it's not just they're held accountable and they have to pay for it and not the taxpayer, but it's also, they never get to be a cop again, probably, depending on how severe the charge was. And even if it wasn't that severe of a charge, it might take a few years before they decide, and they may force them to, it's like when you drive and you get in trouble more than a certain number of times, they won't insure you unless you do training and stuff like that. They may make them do like anger management and stuff like that before they'll ever even consider insuring them again. And if it's something real egregious, they'll just never insure them again. That's a great way to take police off the force. Make it where they have to have insurance and they have to get covered to be able to even serve.
Kimberly Potter would need training courses in what a taser feels like versus a gun.
Yeah, no, she'd never get caught. After that, there's no way that they would ever cover her again. So that's a perfect example
Andrea
of that.
O'Donnell she brings up a point that we've actually talked about on the show about how if they get liability insurance, it would cost us more as taxpayers.
Yep. It would cost. Well, but here's the part of that. We could make it, there's no perfect solution here. We could say, here's the thing though, Andrea. the cost of them having to cover insurance, even if there was a modest boost to their pay, it's going to be far less than when the city of Louisville has to pay out $45 million to the family of Breonna Taylor. Not just because they're the ones having to pay it through the insurance companies, but also because when the cops do much other stupider, like dumber, smaller stuff, because very rarely does a cop go from zero to kill someone in their house or mistake their taser for their gun. Usually there's a bunch of other stuff, like Derek Chauvin, before he killed George Floyd, there were like 17 other complaints against him. Long before he would have gotten to that point, the insurance companies would have been like, no, we are definitely not covering you. So that would be a very powerful thing. Some people are saying just end cops, eliminate the governments. You're talking to two anarchists here. We are 100% behind that. We're talking about kind of the mid steps in between that could happen in the meantime. But we certainly agree with that. So there is no good way to segue from a police shooting to this silly story, because it's not, one was a tragic killing of Duante Wright, and the other one is a silly thing. So I'm not even going to try to segue. We're just going to say that was a very tragic thing, and hopefully the police are held accountable. And now we're going to talk about something really, really just important. I'm actually a little impressed.
So Usher, the famed
multi-platinum artist.
Yeah, would you?
He's so rich and producer. This man has to be worth like 9 figures.
Yeah,
I
easy.
like
9 figures easy. 9 figures easy.
Easily.
He is under fire for paying strippers with fake money with his face on them.
With his face on it. This is
he was
just
giving these bills out to strippers and like making it rain at the club, and with this.
Oh, he's got different denominations. I only saw the 100. He has 20s.
There's also 50s, but the 100 was the clearest picture. Yeah, he made different denominations of these bills, and he was handing them out to strippers.
This man,
out to strippers.
I'm going to look up his net worth. This is a multi-platinum artist who also has done some acting and is a producer. Usher net worth. These aren't really all that great, but yeah. So yeah, he has roughly a net worth of around $180 million. This man is worth 9 figures.
Yeah.
And he is walking out here handing fake, all money's fake, but money that has no, in value at all, even less money than a fiat note, to strippers. This is not. I'm not going to say that. I'm not
willing to say that. I bet an Usher dollar is worth more than an American single dollar bill.
A single dollar bill? Yes, but if you think you're getting hundies, then
no, you're not going to get hundies. But it is worth more than some fiat money.
That's fair. Yeah, that's worth more than $1. I'll give you that. That's worth more than $1, but it's not worth 100. It's not worth whatever he was getting for it.
Well, it's worth what he was getting for it. It was worth the lap dance or whatever it was he was getting.
I guess so. Well, he might have been. That's incredible. That is just. That is amazing. Now, many people do think it's a publicity stunt for his new single that is coming out. Love passing fake bills in this club.
Featuring Young Jeezy. Or...
Haven't used that one in a long time.
That one in a long time. And I couldn't
That was
hear
a
it.
what?
Oh,
gosh. Yeah, you can't even hear it. They can, though.
They can.
Wow. That's a palate cleanser.
I went through Usher's entire catalog to look for that joke.
You did as good as you could.
Really. I really wanted to do something.
You could have done like confessions, but he hasn't confessed. So you remind me of a Bill that I once knew.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I think that was about the best that you could do.
Once knew.
See my face whenever I look at you. Actually, that's kind of fun. That one has legs.
That one does have legs.
That one has legs. So I'll tell you what also has legs sometimes, except when he's going upstairs to an airplane, is Joe Biden has issued 6 executive orders on gun control on Thursday. That he started strong.
Nothing I'm about to recommend in any way impinges on the Second Amendment. They're phony arguments suggesting that these are Second Amendment rights at stake from what we're talking about. But no amendment to the Constitution is absolute.
I'm just going to stop real quick there. If this is the case, I want to talk about the 16th Amendment. If no amendment is absolute, then I want to have some conversations about some of the other amendments.
You can't yell fire in a crowded movie theater. We call it freedom of speech. From the very beginning, you couldn't own any weapon you wanted to own. From the very beginning the Second Amendment existed, certain people weren't allowed to have weapons.
I'm going to just I'm going to play that part again.
We call it freedom of speech. From the very beginning, you couldn't own any weapon you wanted to own.
Here
From
you
the very
go.
beginning the Second Amendment existed, certain people weren't allowed to have weapons.
Certain people weren't allowed to have weapons. We're going to go back to that in a bit.
So the idea is just bizarre to suggest that some of the things we're recommending are contrary to the Constitution.
Now, when Joe Biden says that no amendment is absolute, immediately we all think the 16th, as Spike did, as many of you have done over Facebook and Twitter, and we even have a question coming up about it in the personal injury attorney Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, anchor call-in moment. But for Joe Biden, and I believe this wholeheartedly, the amendment he was thinking of the most was the 13th.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't have a compelling argument against that.
Yeah. I when I came up with that earlier, like yesterday when I was doing the notes, I was like, I bet his favorite one's the 13th. And then I sat there and I didn't put it in the notes because I was like, that's a really dark joke. And unfortunately, it's probably true.
No, especially after what he said. And we're going to slaves, right? Most of us are talking about slaves, black people, right? And that's certainly one of them. Nalik Trop says, I would be one of those certain people. Nalik is an indigenous person in Alaska. That was the other certain people.
Yeah.
Slaves and natives. Hey, guess why? It turned to keep them safe.
I actually was looking for a shirt that you gave me to wear on today's episode.
Yes.
And I had a picture of the Native Americans,
Natives,
and it said, turn in your guns. They said, trust us. They said, turn in your guns. We'll protect you. I don't remember what it says. I couldn't find it in time.
Yeah. Turn in your guns. It worked for turn in the guns to stay safe. It worked for the natives or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I was going to wear that on today's show, but I couldn't find it in time. But, right. When he says that not everybody could have a gun back then, he is talking about Native Americans and slaves.
Yeah. Yeah. And I got some pushback on this on Twitter. Oh, you're just filling that in. Who else?
Yeah, name somebody else.
Who else? The only other group I know of was very temporarily during the Whiskey Rebellion. George Washington ordered the confiscation of guns from veterans who were demanding that they get paid what they were owed, and did not want to have to pay a tax to pay off war debts for foreign countries when they were still not getting paid for their debts for what they did fighting. But again, that was a temporary gun seizure. That wasn't even where he was saying they couldn't own them like long term. That was just they couldn't have them then because they were actively protesting. Which is kind of funny that that's one of the first things that happened when this country was founded was a gun seizure of veterans. But yeah, no, I can almost guarantee you that's not who he was talking about. And again, that was just a temporary thing. In terms of certain people not being allowed to own weapons, that was black people and natives. And not just black people, slaves and natives. Because if you gave guns to slaves and natives, or if, not even gave them, if you let them have them, all of a sudden, folks, a lot of what happened wouldn't have. It's hard to do a trail of tears on a bunch of people who will shoot you.
It's hard to. Yeah,
And he literally said that as a justification.
When he said that, I just stared for a minute, and I said he had to have misquoted. Like he did not read his teleprompter correctly, because he did not do that speech front to back. There's no way he read that, and I was like, he had to have misread that. And
wow, you're right.
Wow,
they gave him that to say.
Somebody wrote that and put it in there for him. Somebody on his woke progressive team wrote that line.
They said, how can we put something in that's pro gun control but still shows that Joe Biden is kind of like soft racist that occasionally says the quiet part.
Right.
I mean, it's on brand. I'll give them that.
It is very Joe Biden.
Like they're channeling Joe there, but I don't know how helpful that's going to be. Let's go to the logical conclusion here, because I've heard people go, well, but it's true, there's always been infringement. Okay, well, that's not a reason to do more of them, but let's do it. Let's say, okay, great, that means that they should do that now. For as long as the Constitution has existed, there have been certain people who haven't had any rights in this country. They were treated as cattle, or they were routinely moved around from their land and shoved onto new land, which also then was taken from them, and they were subjected to regular attacks and abuse and harm. And again, then there's the ones that were just treated like animals and cattle and weren't given the rights of humans.
Yep.
So using that same line of thought, that means that, as he said, no amendment is absolute, and the Bill of Rights is really just garbage. Actually, I mean, what he's saying is really true. The government violates your rights whenever they want to, and they find whatever justification in the Article 1 that they possibly can, which there's plenty of them. And but that's not good. That might be a feature and not a bug, but that's not something you trumpet. That's the thing you're not supposed to say that part.
You're not supposed to point that out. Granted, right now, arguably, we have the Third Amendment intact.
For now.
Although
I cannot wait to really become aggressive on that one, drive by troops with my fist raised and say, shall not quarter, and then drive,
that's the only of the Bill of Rights, that is the only one that we have not just completely trampled on. And with the first, you saw it massively over the course of the last year because of COVID. Can't peaceably assemble.
Yep.
Can't peaceably assemble. Yep. The freedom of religion, people were arguing because they were closing churches, also under the.
They were closing churches. Yeah.
Freedom of speech. Your government really hasn't hit you on freedom of speech for anything, but man, they are promoting it.
They're wanting to. They're setting the groundwork for that to be the next thing. But they absolutely hit your right to assemble last year. And I know, because I went all over the country and was multiple times told I couldn't assemble peacefully with people who just wanted to stand outside and talk about politics. And most of the time we did it anyway, because since 30 of us had guns, and what were they going to do? And in Miami, it was just we had such numbers. We were like, okay, we're going to do it anyway. So what are you going to do? But in New York City, there wasn't really much we could do. That was a place where we were outnumbered by the police. New York's different, y'all. New York is, Manhattan is, there's a lot of cops. Especially when everyone's staying indoors because they're kind of trying to get everyone not to go anywhere during COVID. There's just there were a lot of cops. That's probably how many cops are usually out there, but then there's way more people. But they were still out there even without the people. There's a lot of them.
Caboose, Georgia, Caboose, GA, on YouTube says, I thought the third was violated because they took some empty hotel rooms for the guard last year. I've forgotten about that.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
They did do that. They took empty hotel rooms in some city and put the National Guard in them. And they're just like, no, we're going to take these and they're going to stay here.
That's right. Yeah. I knew there was some kind of Third Amendment thing. Now, that's not, to the extreme of like going into someone's house, but that's someone's private property.
It's someone's private property.
Wow.
Yeah. That was good. That was good.
That was a good catch there, Caboose.
Call.
Yeah, no, and I mean, we've seen multiple things here, references to, bad things happened in the past, therefore we should be able to do more bad things. It's like the worst argument ever. I just can't believe he said it. Certain people, I wish he had said it. You know what? Have the Stones to say who. Well, we've never let the blacks have guns like that. We've been arresting them like 7-1 over white people.
Joe Biden moment. There was a time.
I mean, we'd have never let Corn Pop have a gun.
Not everyone was allowed to have a firearm. You know who I'm talking about.
The
blacks and the Indians.
And then, Kamala gets up and says, I was the little girl that couldn't have a gun. Breaking news. Bitcoin is crashing let's see what Bitcoin's crashing to. Thank you, Joshua, for the heads up there, Joshua McCose. Bitcoin is crashing down to a record low of $63,288.40. Oh, it's a record high. Bitcoin crashing, folks, to a record high of 63,288. Bitcoin is dead, and I wish you people would just acknowledge it. It's dead.
Dead. It is dead.
Dead. It's as dead as a thing that's worth $63,288.40 as of print time, which is
as of
time.
Live time.
Yeah. Nalik, is it Nalik or Nalik? And now you're gonna have to explain that, in text. But we went from something else to certain people. Buy the dip. Yeah, buy the dip. It's down. It's real low right now. It's 63. Meanwhile, I will say this, and this is not financial advice. I am just a Jew on the internet. It's talking. I just like the coin. Okay, this is not financial advice.
More financially sound than pretty much anybody I know in real life.
Right, but I'm not licensed. I'm not a licensed Jew. I'm an unlicensed Jew. Ooh, I shouldn't have said that. I mean, I am, but anyway,
weird.
What's that?
You're not a card-carrying Jew? That's weird.
I'm sure I have a card that's very Jewish somewhere, but I'm not licensed with the state. I'm a member of the private Jew organization, of course. The civic, but the political part, not the military part. I need to stop talking. I think that you can add a zero at the end there, and that's probably about what this thing's going to end up being worth when it starts hitting an equilibrium somewhere between 500,000 and a million. That's just my opinion. So I still say you're buying low if you buy in now. And I say this as someone that bought a lot lower than this, but I could have bought it in 2010. I'd be so rich. Anyway,
so some of the executive orders Joe Biden.
Yeah, some of the executive orders that Joe Biden put in place for certain people.
Nalik is my Yepik. Well, that doesn't help out at all.
I'm gonna read this. Right, but how is it now? I need to know how Yepik is pronounced. By the way, I'm going to be meeting her on Saturday, actually Friday. Friday and Saturday, I'm going to be in Wasilla, Alaska for Gold Rush. If you want to find out more about how you can attend online, you don't have to be in Alaska. I'd love for you to come up there, but it is a schlep. So if you can't get to Alaska by Saturday, then go to lpalaska.org/goldrush, and you can find out how you can be a part of it. You pick. You pick. But then is it Nalik? Nalik? Anyway,
So
Joe Biden's
what's
executive
gonna
orders.
happen is within 30 days, the Justice Department is going to come out with a rule that will close a regulatory loophole that allows ghost guns to be purchased without a background check. Now, for anybody who isn't, God, our audience already knows, but for anybody who out there who isn't a regular listener of ours, a ghost gun is oftentimes like when you buy the lower third kits or you 3D print them. And Joe Biden stood there in front of God and everybody, and he said, we need to make sure that they have serial numbers on them when they go out. And I was thinking, nobody's going to 3D print a serial number on a ghost gun. The lower thirds, they're probably not going to do that either, because then you're going to end up potentially with guns with separate serial numbers. You're there, you're just going to scrape them off.
It seems like all of these rules are written by people who have almost no concept of how guns work. Like, you're going to have a gun with multiple serial numbers, which makes it worse.
Yeah. It's going to be impossible to track because there's going to be multiple serial numbers on it.
It's impossible to track. It is incredible. This is the fusion center of gun tracking now. Like, this is, they're going to have so much information. You'll be like, this gun had 17 serial numbers. That helps us not at all. Where is it from? It's from 4 different states. Oh, thanks for that one, Johnson. That helped.
He also said that within 60 days they will propose a rule that makes it clear a device marketed as a stabilizing brace, which effectively allows a pistol to operate as a short-barreled rifle, is subject to the requirements of the National Firearms Act, the NFA, which means that having the pistol, fine. Having the thing that puts it right here to stabilize it, so like if you're an amputee who can't stabilize it with the other hand, then you are now in violation of the NFA.
Or if you're a small person that doesn't have the strength to deal with recoil, that's also that's actually how those are used often. There are some higher caliber pistols, or just like smaller, like for example, women who are trying to protect themselves that are not able to do that now because of this. And then he also urged Congress to pass a national red flag law, as well as legislation incentivizing states to pass red flag laws of their own. In the interim, the Justice Department's published model legislation will make it easier for states that want to adopt red flag laws to do so. In case you were wondering what a red flag law is, imagine if one of your friends, or just someone who doesn't like you, actually not your friend, someone who doesn't like you knows you have a gun, so they call the police and say you're a danger. And instead of you having any right to due process or even knowing what's going on, they just come to your house early in the morning with a SWAT team and tell you to give them your guns.
Now, what I learned today, I did not know about this story. There was a man, I believe it was in Texas, who had a red flag order called on him by a doctor. And the doctor called the red flag order on him because the guy did a bunch of terrible Yelp reviews on his doctor practice.
Wow.
And he had a red flag order served to him. You could have all of your guns and rights taken away because of Yelp reviews. And if somebody went back through my Yelp review history, especially when I was drinking, my guns would all be gone.
Yep. This is scary stuff. Like, this is the kind of stuff that it could be anything. It could just be, hey, you said something mean to me on the internet. I'm telling. Like, swatting, where people would call the police and say, oh, there's an active hostage situation, and they would get there and hear the person yelling stuff because they're playing, like, Call of Duty or something, and they would swat the person because they wanted them off the game, and, like, people were getting killed. This is swatting, but for everything.
You could even do that. It would be red flagging, and some kids in there, some 12-year-old kids in there, you call in a red flag order on the 12-year-old kid, they're taking the parents' guns. They're taking everything in that house.
Yeah.
That's not that kid's.
Yeah. this is just, and keep in mind, for those who are very upset but support Trump, Donald Trump started this. He was the one pushing for this at the federal level. He was pushing for red flag laws in all 50 states. He was demanding them. This was when he famously said, you take the guns first, due process later. That's not how due process works. And now when Joe Biden, guarantee you, if Joe Biden or his team have even an ounce of political sensibility, when they push for the red flag stuff, they're going to say, well, Donald Trump said it. And they'll be right.
Yep. Red flag laws are a blatant disregard for the Second Amendment, for your personal freedom and your rights as a human being.
Yeah, your Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, really most of the Bill of Rights is disregarded by the by red flag laws. And a national red flag law would 100% be a violation of the 10th Amendment because there is no justification.
This is not a national red flag law. I want to make
I thought
that
it
clear.
said that he's urging them to pass one.
It is that he is urging them to give out a template to the states for the states to pass. So it is not a national red flag law. Now,
okay.
As we have seen in the past, you don't really see it that much anymore, but we've seen it in the past where, let's say that, I don't know, Reagan, we'll just say for funsies, we'll say Reagan, he wanted the drinking age across the country to be 21.
Hypothetically.
Hypothetically. All of this hypothetically. He wanted the drinking age to be 21. And he's like, well, I can't do that because, the states get to make their own laws, but man, that would be really great. And he goes, oh, wait, I have an idea. What we can do is we can not give them any highway funding unless they make their drinking age 21. And George Bush was there going, excellent idea, sir. And that is how, thank you. And
yeah, no, that was good.
Thanks. I worked on that so much today.
That was good. No, that was really good stuff.
And so if Joe Biden wanted a national red flag law, he could go, well, yeah, but you won't get school funding if you don't pass this national red flag law.
Yep.
He's not making a national red flag law. You're passing it in the state.
It's federalism, folks.
Yep.
So that was a good Reagan. I do want to say that was a good Reagan. So other actions include directing 5 federal agencies to make changes to 26 different programs to direct, here's where the slush fund stuff comes in, to direct vital support to community violence intervention programs as quickly as possible. Here's what that really means. Take taxpayer money and give it to a bunch of crony groups, crony nonprofits and for-profit groups because the groups want much more than this and they'll get upset. So instead they get money and then they pretend that this is a good thing. Incidentally, this is really a bunch of screwing around on the margins except for that red flag thing. And it's security theater. Oh, we're going to make you safe with this. And they're just chipping away at your right to keep and bear arms. But the reality is none of this is there is not a single person who can seriously look you in the face and tell you that this is going to do a single damn thing to stop a shooting or make anyone safer. It's just to punish people who didn't vote for Joe Biden. The Justice Department is also going to issue an annual report on firearms tracking. And thankfully, this schmuck is being nominated to head the ATF. And if you think this is a punchable face, what's that?
Joe Biden called it the AFT.
Nice. The AFT. If you're looking at this guy and thinking, man, this guy seems like he has a punchable face, well, wait till you hear some more about David Chipman.
Good old David Chipman. David Chipman is a 25-year veteran of the AFT or the ATF.
That's really all you need to know at this point.
That's pretty much it. Really.
That's really it. Yeah.
He testified before Congress that current owners of AR-15 should be treated like owners of machine guns. And you know what? I agree.
Yeah, because machine guns should be illegal.
Right, because they should just be treated like everyday people that you see walking on the streets. Simply reinstating the 90s era ban on assault weapons is not enough, Chipman said in his 2019 testimony. One option would be to require the registration of all existing assault weapons in civilian hands under the NFA. The NFA imposes an excise tax and registration requirements to possess certain weapons. Applicants must pass a background check, provide fingerprints and a photo, and pay a $200 transfer tax and register their weapon with the ATF, attempting to set up the National Registry for anything that is a weapon, because nobody defines what an assault weapon is.
Yep.
Because they can't. Because
there is no such thing. In the industry, there's no such thing as an assault weapon. And you could technically argue that any weapon, including not just firearms, are assault weapons. So you want to go the path of Great Britain, which is making anything that's not like a steak knife illegal, including many longer blade knives. Yeah, go this way. This will be a lot of stuff. And you're saying, no, that could never happen. It says firearms. Yeah, no, that's how government works. Think of all the things you do that are called something, but yet they have nothing to do with that thing. That's called mission creep. That's exactly how government works.
If you think about England, where they got rid of guns, and now you can't have a screwdriver or a hammer.
Yep.
Or a butter knife.
Yep.
Because they can be used to shank people.
You can be used to hurt people. And the reason that they had to do that was everyone started stabbing each other. Well, that's because they didn't have guns anymore.
Right. Now, when he was serving as a case agent many a year ago, he was a case agent in the Branch Davidian trial before eventually rising to serve as the first head of the agency's firearms. He said that the people inside the Branch Davidian compound in Waco used two 50 caliber Beretts to shoot down two Texas Air National Guard helicopters. These are people he helped burn to death and then posed in front of their corpses.
And then he slanders their dead...
shitty person.
Yeah, this is someone... He literally made up something saying that they were shooting down helicopters with 50 caliber Barretts. That is 100% false. They didn't do any of that. They did get burned alive.
They did shoot at the helicopters.
But they didn't have 50 caliber Barretts, or else those copters wouldn't have made it. Yeah, they didn't shoot anything down, and if they had had Barretts, they would have 100% shot those helicopters down. He's just making stuff up. And he can make it up because they can't respond because he killed them.
Because he killed them all. Now, he did say this, like many people might be like, oh, well, he might have said that back in the 90s before the internet. No, he said that in an AMA on Reddit last year.
Yep.
He is terrible. At the beginning of the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, he was on some show, I don't know which one, and he said, if we can imagine how horrible this crisis is, the people who hoarded the guns might decide 6 months from now, once they see no zombies around, but they've run out of tuna and beef jerky, that they need the money to buy food. Now, in the full quote that I watched, he said, I don't know, maybe I wish I had a Chipman impression, but I honestly don't. Never mind, I'll get to that part later. He said, keep it unloaded, hide it behind your beef jerky and canned tuna, and stare out your windows waiting for the zombies to come, even though they won't. And he went on this long rant, and then he ended it with that, because he thinks anybody that wants to own a firearm, anybody that wants to own a weapon, is some slack-jawed yokel who believes that the government is going to try to come and take the gun away from him, which he is actively working to do, as he sits on the board of like two separate massive gun control lobbies. Yep.
He also he's also a partner in a company that is selling equipment that can detect gunfire. So he's double dipping, of course.
He's double dipping. Yeah,
he's
once
double
he retired
dipping
from the ATF, he started working in the lobbying business to get rid of guns.
Yeah, no, this guy's a uniquely terrible person. I mean, these are the people when they go, we're not trying to take your gun. Yeah, no, they are 100% trying to take your guns. They see you being able to defend yourselves against them even remotely as the problem. This is a man who set children on fire because their parents had guns.
This is a man who set children on fire because the ATF needed funding. Let's get that
That's
straight.
true too, yeah. Yeah.
The ATF
Because
needed
Janet Reno
funding,
needed
and
funding.
Bill Clinton was, Janet Reno and the ATF needed funding, and they were going to close down the department. And they said, "Oh, well, we need to show that we're worth something, so let's go after this guy and not arrest him while he's going out for coffee every single day. We could get him while he's in town, but instead, let's take all of the resources of the ATF and of the Texas National Guard, and we're going to storm this compound in Waco, and we are going to burn women and children and men and David Koresh to the ground, and then we're going to tell everybody that they were stockpiling weapons."
Yeah. And we're going to do it in a way that gets some of our own agents killed to start off, just so we can get the public behind us, burning them all to the ground. So they don't even care about their own agents. This is about getting to do this to people with your money for your safety. And these are the people, incidentally, that are telling you that they really have a serious problem with you having a firearm, because you might use it for violence. That's a wreckage that used to have 100-something people in it.
There are actually bodies in that picture.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, there's bodies. There are charred bodies somewhere in that photo that he is proudly standing at.
I just pointed to him, like people could tell where I was pointing, like I'm John Madden, but no, you can't. But yeah, they're like kind of dead center in that photo.
Yep.
He also wants to get rid of basically any magazine that holds more than like 5. Kind of on the lower end of the things that is most egregious about him, but still terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's still terrible because it makes it that much harder for you to fight back against him. We just completely lost our signal. No, it's back.
Okay.
This is, anyone who wants to stop him from doing this to you is what it's about. So, are we doing our next guest, or are we doing Chris Reynolds next?
Let's do Chris Reynolds, and then we will do our next guest.
Okay, cool. So our next segment is the personal injury attorney, Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, anchor call-in moment, where you can call in and leave us messages on anchor.fm/muddied waters. You can leave us messages, and every Tuesday on the personal injury attorney, Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, anchor call-in moment, you're going to play it on your side, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And you can call in, and you can leave us messages, and we will answer them. You can also donate if you go to anchor.fm/muddied waters. You can leave us money. You can donate to us, become one of our regular donors. Now, you do not have to give us money for us to listen to or answer your questions that you leave, but we will like you more.
It's true. It's true. So our first question comes from Alex from Virginia.
Hello, Alex from Virginia calling in on the personal injury attorney, Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, anchor call-in moment. I have a question today for the two of you about qualified immunity and the 14th Amendment. I think it's the 14th Amendment. I'm not sure. I'm driving right now. I'm not really going to take the time to look it up. But Section 1 of the 14th Amendment, if I'm right, says something along the lines of all citizens are granted equal protection under the law. And if that's the case, shouldn't everyone have qualified immunity? Thank you. And stay tuned. I'm going to have another constitutional question for you guys. So, stay tuned for that. Bye.
Personally, I really like how Alex from Virginia used the term "use guys" instead of the colloquial "y'all" that they use in Virginia, especially where he's from.
Yeah, no, he made a good point. If, equal protection under the law and they get to have this qualified immunity, do we not get to say, hey, we thought that was perfectly reasonable given what our job is?
Equal protection under the law. Like it's a great observation.
It's a good, yeah. I mean, I'm good with it. I'm good with it. If we all get immunity, then we can then they'll have to dequalify the immunity and make it where we don't have it. They'll defund immunity once we get it as well. No, that's a good question.
It is. Here's our next question from Alex from Virginia.
How many questions do we have?
Hello. Alex from Virginia calling in on the personal injury attorney Chris Reynolds attorney-at-law anchor Colin moment. And as promised, I have another constitutional amendment question. And our beloved president, Joseph R. Biden, said that no amendment is absolute, and he was referring to the Second Amendment, of course. And with this in mind, that no amendment being absolute and the federal government coming along and infringing on our rights to self-defense and the ownership of guns, can I infringe on the federal government's 16th Amendment right to levy an income tax? Stay tuned to find out whether or not I go to prison for tax evasion. Thank you.
One day we stop getting messages from Alex from Virginia, and
we'll know that he tried to say that the 16th Amendment wasn't absolute. Listen, I support saying that the Article 1 isn't absolute. That'd solve a lot of these problems. But yeah, no, they'll definitely... First, they'll just try to fine you, and then it'll escalate from there, unfortunately.
I'm going to skip the next one for time, but Alex, that's a great idea. You know what I'm talking about. I may use that idea. Here's our next question from Jorge Mendoza.
Cool.
I just heard this story of a blind woman who lived across from a park. She would go over and hand out little pamphlets of the Gospel of John. And she was told that she couldn't do that, and she was kicked out of the park, as well as the library that I guess was on the park property. And this was really devastating for her. I believe, from what I understand, it went to court and it was ruled that she had the right to be there. Do you feel like this was the correct call from the court system? And could you just talk about how important the freedom of religion is to everyday Americans?
So I think I understood that right. A blind woman went to a park across from her house and was handing out the Gospel of John, and she was told by the library that was on the park that she couldn't do that, and then she was banned from the park and the library. And then the court says, yes, you can do that. Yes, the court made the right decision there.
Yes, that's correct.
Absolutely made the right decision there. And I don't care if that woman was handing out the Gospel of John, the Gospel of Smith, the Quran, the Tao of motorcycle riding. I don't like motorcycle, whatever that's called. I don't care if they were handing out my book. Like, they have a right to do it.
How to talk to your dogs about communism and homosexuality. Like, it really doesn't matter what book was being handed out. You have a right to peacefully assemble on public property and to freedom of speech, and handing out. If someone doesn't want it, now if she's making people take it, that's one thing. But if she's saying, "Hey, can I give you this?" and people are going, "Yeah, no, thank you." I mean, she's blind, so I don't think she's being too terribly aggressive.
Either that or just like overly because she doesn't know that they're going, "No, please, no."
Yeah, that could be possible. Yeah, more than likely, she's just being a kind old lady standing there asking people if they'd like her, tracks or whatever, and they're going, "Yeah, sure," or "No, thank you." That's that was the courts were absolutely correct, and you have a right to. It's not, the right to religious observance is really just an extension of the right to free speech and the right to free expression. In the same token that you should be able to give out Gospel of John tracts, you should be able to give out, here's something I wrote about why I think God's not real or whatever, or why I think that, here's my take on why everyone's wrong about the New Testament or whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. As long as you're not threatening anyone or hurting anyone or trying to harm anyone, then they can choose whether they want to take it or not. And you're being peaceful about it, and you're on public property. So, that was 100% correct. It wasn't establishing a religion. She wasn't going there and saying, this is the new religion of this city and everyone has to follow it. She's following her own faith and sharing stuff with people. That's 100% protected.
Yeah. Everything that she did was okay, and the courts made the right call.
Yes.
Here's our next question from the Gravy King himself, Matt Laser Legend Hicks.
Hey guys, this is Matt Hicks calling in on the personal injury attorney, Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, anchor calling moment with your South Carolina spotlight. In recent news, Governor Henry the Bitch McMaster signed an executive order forbidding state social services to take in any migrant children, in spite of the fact that this program is fully funded already by the federal government and the checks have already been written and cashed. One would think that a devout Christian who recently signed a 6-week abortion ban bill because it was what God wanted him to do would consider Matthew chapter 25 verse 40 that says don't do bad stuff to people because it's the same as doing bad stuff to Jesus.
Laser Legend.
I got cut off. He went past the 1 minute, yeah.
Yeah, he did.
But no, he's right. I mean, if you take money for something, then you got to spend it for that, especially if you already spent it.
So as I learned on Thursday, the Pennsylvania governor, Governor Wolf, he took just a buttload of money for something that I don't have in front of me because I don't have the notes. It had to do with COVID. It was one of the COVID relief things. And he took just a buttload of money and then made the threshold for the people in Pennsylvania to get that money so high, he just ended up taking that money to cover a debt that the Department of Corrections had.
Because in any other application, this would be called what's it called? Commingling of funds or embezzling. Like there's so many different. If any other organization did this, where they raised money or took money in for a specific stated purpose and used it for something else, at the very least, it would be seen as a glaring ethics violation and almost certainly something illegal. It is just amazing. It's just that they can get away with this kind of stuff.
Yeah. I can't remember how much. It was like 1 point. Man, I don't remember how much money it was, but it was a lot of money. It was a lot of money. But yeah, you're right. Like they take the money, they can do whatever they want with it, even though they shouldn't be able to. Now here's our next question, again from the Laser Legend himself.
Hey, guy on left and Spike. This is Matt Hicks calling in on the personal injury attorney, Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, anchor call-in moment with your Minnesota Minute. So as you, I'm sure, are well aware, cops in the Minneapolis area have killed another black man who was unarmed. Go figure. I think it's telling that when the police chief was making a statement about it immediately after the incident, he very stern-faced said, we're going to investigate ourselves and find that nothing was wrong, and we're going to get to the bottom of this. And instead of apologizing that somebody was killed at the hands of police, without an admission of guilt, of course, or responsibility, he instead decided to institute a curfew. That's the world we live in, folks. Hashtag Laser Legend.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really anything you can say other than that.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, no, it's a situation where they're like, yeah, no, everything's gonna be fine, and then it's not. So then they lock everything down because it turns out, no, you can't just keep doing this. What's happening is the police departments are having to adjust to the fact that an increasing number of the population's like, no, you can't do this, and no, we aren't more concerned about the protest. We're concerned about you killing people. Stop doing that. And it's giving rise to people becoming more and more incredulous about this stuff. Yeah. And, as we say, we condemn riots. What's that?
Maybe we wouldn't be having these protests if your officers would stop killing people.
Stop killing people. That might help. And we, as always, we condemn the rioting. We condemn any damage to private property, people's lives, anything like that. That's a great reason to end the war on guns and to allow people to protect themselves against people that are, hurting them or looting them or attacking them. And B, maybe stop creating the catalyst that allows these types of things to happen. And then C, if people are out protesting, maybe focus on the looters instead of the protesters. That might help, huh? Might help. So how many more do we have left?
Last one.
This is our last one?
Last one. Here's our last
Okay,
one. Cool. It's very short too, so I'm assuming that I already know what this is. From Josh McHose in Alaska.
Hey, Matt and Spike. Josh McHose here. It's just going to remind Spike to that he better be on a fast to prepare for this weekend when he gorges himself with all the salmon.
Yeah. Well, first of all, don't tell me what to do.
I'm assuming you started that fast like a week ago.
Oh man, I have been intermittent fasting so hard. People don't realize how much I'm going to hurt my own body just to prove a point. Like, they don't get it. They don't get how bad this is about to be. I am going to 100% abuse my body up there with so much smoked fish. Oh my gosh. Salmon, wild caught Alaskan salmon, that's like feet away from where they died. That's so delicious.
Like straight off the boat.
Just straight off the boat and right in the smoker. What's that?
You can say straight off the boat in this situation, and you're not being like xenophobic or racist in any way.
No.
Yeah.
No, gosh, no.
This is when it's a very appropriate time to use
this
that
is
term.
an appropriate use of the term. Sure. And we...
Malik is right. Yeah, there is also caribou, which I know you can't eat.
I can't have caribou, unfortunately.
Oh,
my wife
it is
can't.
it is so good. Reindeer tastes delicious. A reindeer hot dog is just glorious. It is some of the best food.
And folks, if we raise $1,000 between now and my time in Alaska, we will do a live stream where I get hit with a caribou hot dog in the face.
And the sound of that, the sound of that laughter was our next guest.
Our next guest.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Magnus Panvidia.
Yes, Magnus Panvidia.
Right, but I hope I did.
Yep, you got it right.
Sweet.
And he's in beautiful Mud Redacted. Magnus, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, it's nice to speak to you again, Spike. It's almost been like a year since you were in Flint. Almost. That was what, like late June, July. So,
gosh, was that a year? What? No. So it was what, like 2 days after. I hate that the benchmark is like a couple days after I put my dog down, because that's when I know I remember when the bus tour started. So that would have been August 20th.
Okay,
was the last time I saw you.
Yeah.
Now, we've seen each other on some like Zoom chats and stuff like that, but yeah, we haven't gotten to see each other. But I will be up there at the end of June for the Michigan convention, so that's good.
I will be there too. I might be giving a presentation on practical anarchism. That was gonna be super fun.
I like it, man, and it's gonna be awesome. We're gonna be on native grounds because of the lockdowns. They're having to have it on a native reservation because it's the only place in Michigan where you can actually have an event because of these the lockdowns that they're going to keep through the summer after most everyone's vaccinated. You have an incredible governor up there, by the way.
Oh yeah, lovely woman, done nothing wrong and hasn't caused any kind of drama that would make people come from up north with guns to the Capitol or anything like that. But
right.
Shout out to obviously all the tribes, because they're always the most based. The first place I ever shot a fully automatic weapon was on the reservation. It was illegal. They were growing weed there 11 years before it was legal, and now they're just ignoring the lockdown. So I love that.
Yeah, no, the tribes are The tribes are, it's kind of, it's hit or miss with some tribes. Some tribes are so reliant that there's not much they can do. Bureau of Indian Affairs is all over them. Some tribes are like, nah, we're in control. Screw you. We'll do whatever we want. And it sounds like the ones you're dealing with up there are in that latter category. It's awesome.
Definitely Michigan is like borderline, like anarcho-capitalistan or whatever you want to put it. Like, it's pretty nice.
And what do you know? What is the tribe there?
I mean, we have like 7 here. We have the Odawa, Chippewa, Potawatomi, Blackfoot, Cherokee. We're all over Michigan.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I don't
so
know
it's whatever.
I forgot where exactly we're going to be at, what tribe that is that runs that.
And Chippewa Stan or whatever it is. Yeah. That's so tell us what you've been up to. So you just did a big event up there and a big protest there. Tell us some of the stuff you've been up to.
Yeah, so I've been doing this kind of crazy idea called the Unity Coalition, where I'm trying to get anti-fascist and Black Lives Matter members and all these different militias to kind of unite together around common issues and common causes. And it's working out surprisingly well. I think everybody's kind of startled at how good it's working. And I was in Louisville for the year anniversary of Breonna Taylor's death, and then I went to Washington, D.C. for a free Julian Assange event, and then a fuck censorship event. And then most recently, we're in Lansing, Michigan for the year anniversary of Anthony Hoolin, who was a man who died in Lansing jail under like the same exact way George Floyd did. And then the Lansing government like covered it up for 2 months while they were running around talking about how, because they're Democrats, of course, how awful what happened to George Floyd was and everything, while they were burying a story that they did the exact same thing to another man in their jail.
And what was his name? Anthony Hoolin?
Anthony Hoolin. Yep. Hulon.
I'm gonna have to post quite a lot about that soon.
Yeah, nobody talked about it or nothing, and they buried it.
I've never heard of him.
Yep.
I have not heard that story. That is mind blowing.
Yeah, he was in jail too, and it was 5 cops instead of 1 cop, and they just put their knees on him for I think it was 9 minutes straight until even the coroner ruled it as a death by asphyxiation, and they buried it.
I mean, I wish I could say I was surprised.
They're out there defending George Floyd and saying Derek Chauvin.
Yeah, because the mayor of Lansing is like a close friend with Whitmer, and Whitmer was running around all last year, Democratic Party line. And he didn't say nothing about it, and he didn't say nothing about it, and yep.
Someone needs to make a meme where it shows them kneeling on Anthony Hoolin, and it says, in this murder scene, we believe that Black Lives Matter, science is real, climate change, the whole the different.
Have you seen that one meme where it's like Republican police policy and it's Derek Chauvin kneeling, and then it's Democrat police policy and it's the cop staring at Derek Chauvin? It's morbid.
Pretty much. That's actually 100% accurate. So it's awesome what you're doing. You're bringing different disparate groups together to show that, this is not the caricature that we're being given of these groups, of anti-fascist groups, and of Black Lives Matter groups, and of the Boog or the CNN or whatever y'all are calling it, whatever we're calling ourselves today.
We rebanded so many times that we got back to our original name.
Just gone back to Boogaloo. I was kind of using Boogaloo from the beginning. I'm like, listen, I'm normalizing the Boogaloo. Like we're gonna just go back to Boogaloo, and we'll all this other stuff was fun, but they're banning like entire part. I loved that they were banning like CNN and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it was amazing. But
I think like one of their official affiliate pages got taken down because they assumed it was a Boogaloo group on Facebook. It's like,
I love that. Good job getting CNN Tampa knocked down or whatever. But so this is really good stuff that you're doing, because whenever I talk about the Boog, whenever I talk about people, the right to keep and bear arms, without fail, here come the people going, oh, the right to keep and bear arms, that's just a bunch of white people that want to say the N-word with the hard R. And it's like, no, this is about so much more than that. In fact, the people being the most disproportionately harmed by the war on guns are marginalized communities. It is Black and brown communities. So to have you and other folks like you that are actually actively working to work with Black Lives Matter groups, Black Guns Matter groups, Black Panther groups, even groups on the left, anti-fascist groups and things like that. It's really good to see that's happening. You're building this sort of anti-authoritarian unity coalition. It's fantastic, man.
Yeah, in Louisville, there was John Brown Gun Club, Black Panthers, NFAC, us, and then I think like one more group, all like together,
Yeah.
same mission, same goal, nothing but peace and love, and it was awesome. Like, I get real warm fuzzies whenever stuff happens like that, and that's kind of, the more it goes on, the better I think it is, because I really do believe in my heart that things are so bad now. Because if you think of like the last unified, like working class, normal American sort of uprising was Occupy Wall Street. And ever since then, it's well, is it the right or the left protesting? You never hear of them protesting together. You never hear them marching hand in hand, equally angry, even though there's tons of stuff that everybody agree upon that's totally wrong. But it's so divided and segregated now to where even in Lansing at the Anthony Hoolan event, there was a Republican Stop Asian Hate rally on one side of the street and then a victim of police violence rally on the other side of the street, and nobody intermingled or talked to each other at all. And it's like,
they're literally arguing the same thing.
Right. It's absurd. It's absurd to me that so often we have to go with this. And I've had my own kind of political awakening and stuff like that of going to these events and being like, hey, despite what the media and Twitter goblins will tell you, most people are really like good people and they're good at heart and they have good intentions. And if you can kind of get past all these stupid labels, we might actually be able to like accomplish something again.
Yep. Exactly. It's fantastic that you're doing that, man. So you just did this thing in Lansing. What do you have any stuff that are you okay with saying what you're doing up front, or do you prefer to just show up, or how do you do that?
Oh yeah, we keep it open. We're going to Ohio soon because I don't remember his last name. I'll have to look it up. But there's an event for a man named Casey who was also killed by police. That's going to be another like joint event with like everybody involved. And then I definitely I have so many possible summer plans. It's just the issue is that I'm unemployed due to lockdowns and COVID. So it's just financial things. But
Michigan,
because I was a commission painter and I traveled around like Renaissance festivals and stuff and sold like statuettes and home decor and stuff. So obviously can't do that anymore. And then I sold it on Facebook, Instagram, and Etsy, and then we got banned off of literally everything, including all of my business pages. So, yeah, thanks you, Facebook, for that one. I even got banned off of Uber Eats.
What?
Off of Uber Eats?
Uber Eats.
So you can't
PayPal,
eat either.
Etsy. No, not allowed. Can't go to the store, can't carry out, and can't order it to my house because I shared an igloo meme or something.
So keep in mind, this is someone who, for his work, he makes paintings and home decor at Renaissance fairs and on Etsy. He's clearly the most dangerous man in the country. Like,
super dangerous D&D statue. Oh no, whatever will the government do to stop the nerds?
Yeah, this is the face of the book, and that's what I try to tell people. I was in Flint. I went across this country, and I'm seeing Aloha shirt enthusiasts across the country, and they're all just normal people. They're all just normal everyday people.
Not all of us.
No.
No matter how much they want to tell us, and it was just hilarious to me. It was like, okay, who is Spike Cohen's like unofficial security team on his entire tour? Jewish Spike Cohen. Oh, it's a bunch of like ethnically and racially and like sexual diverse
sexually and gender diverse people. Yeah.
This must be a white supremacist movement.
Yeah, it's that meme of the guy with the butterfly, and it's the media and a bunch of black and queer and trans people and white people and straight people and everyone, just a bunch of people. Is this a white supremacist group? It's the most absurd thing, and I've gotten into it so many times with people where I'm like, guys, you can see me at Black Lives Matter events with the Boog. You can see multiple ones. You can see me at Black Panther events with the Boog. And you intentionally crop every black person you can to come up with these weird, hackneyed, vertical, diagonal shots of me with three white people and be like, look at these white supremacists. It's like, well, I'm a Jew, so white supremacists don't consider me white. But second of all, why did you crop it that way? I think it's because you wanted to leave out all of the other people that are in that photo, all of the people that are LGBT and black and brown and everything else. And again, there's nothing wrong with being white or straight. I'm white and straight, but this is a very, very diverse group of people that are coming together under the common thread of the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, and that's our hard line.
Yeah, and the two worst examples I ever saw of that was New York Times, I think it was, did an article about the Virginia gun rally, and they literally took Pops, who's like a black gun owner, like he's wearing like an I Can't Breathe hat and was it Colin Kaepernick shirt. They literally lightened his skin to make him look like a white dude. So you want to talk about racism, like hello. And then at the Unity event way back in July or whatever it was in Lansing, I mean, like only I think it was like barely 2/3 of us there were white people. Like we had every single race was represented, tons of women and everything, and every single news camera was like allergic to filming any of them. And you can, if you go back and look at all the footage of that, they'll literally tuck the camera down and go away. And the same thing happened in Lansing when I gave my speech on the 17th, to where they were filming me and I was talking, and they're like, "Well, who's some of your favorite? Who's some of your favorite politicians?" And I go, Vermin Supreme and Spike Cohen, and they literally turned the camera off immediately because they wanted to make me look like a Trump supporter. They don't want me to know that one of my favorite politicians is an anarchist who runs around with a boot on his head. They didn't want people to know that.
And another anarchist who ran around, the whole country, pushing for, ending police brutality and ending the war on drugs and ending systemic harm against marginalized communities in no uncertain terms, like saying specifically that, not coded references to it, but like actually saying it. It is mind blowing. Can you imagine for a second being that reporter or that editor who is sitting there and so scared of the fact that they're having to feature that a black guy is supporting gun rights, that they had to lighten his skin? Like, just the mindset of that, of how this is a journalist who has been went to school, taught ethics, taught about how you should always try to find the truth in the story. And here they are lightening someone's skin to desperately try to make it look like a white thing. It's incredible.
If you want to go all progressive on that, that's literally erasing minorities. That's literally erasing people.
Yeah, it's whitewashing.
And like literal whitewashing. Like by definition, you're going to Photoshop and whitewashing his skin. Like, what the hell?
You are erasing people of color. Yeah, it is the definition of erasure. I didn't even realize that. Yeah, it is erasure. I knew we would get no mainstream media coverage when I did that event with the Black Panthers in Richmond. I'm looking around. There's no cops there. We're killing every single narrative about gun ownership and people of color. Like, all at once, right? There were more armed black women than there were armed white men there. Like, that's how many black people that were armed. And again, there's nothing wrong with white people with guns, but anyone who wants to say, oh, this is some kind of right-wing, far-right, white supremacy, these were the Black Panthers.
Yep.
And the original Black Panthers, the Huey P. Newton Gun Club and the original Black Panther Party were there with it's Black Lives Matter 757. So they're the ones out of Virginia Beach, but a somewhat local Black Lives Matter group. And, we're there in the middle of the, in between, I think it's the state capitol and the Supreme Court building. And I'm giving a speech and we're getting people all excited about it. And I'm talking to people there and everything. And, there wasn't a cop to be seen. We actually played a game of Find the Cop afterwards. And we walked around. We finally saw one like 5 blocks away behind their patrol car doing this just to see what was going on, which was fine. I get they're making sure everything's okay. But they didn't need to be there. And they knew they didn't need to be there. No one was brutalized. No one was even sniffed at by a cop because we were so heavily armed. And, it killed every single narrative about gun rights that the mainstream neoliberal, neoconservative, and apparently Newsmax as well. Did you see the hot take that we put up earlier about he had a gun?
I tweeted earlier of like, you're seeing the difference between like the Boogaloo Second Amendment and like the Republican Second Amendment in real time. Because you have like Firearm Policy Coalition and like Phoenix Ammunition and all of these like people that are closer affiliated to me, like FPC's even selling Hawaiian shirts and everything, all coming out and being like, look at these, they don't support the Second Amendment, they're racist, they're full of shit, they bootlick to the extreme. And then you have tweets like that and plenty of other awful hot takes I've seen, particularly around what happened in Minneapolis, Brooklyn Center, where it's absurd to me that the police officer herself admitted she screwed up. The police chief said she screwed up. The police council
And they're still
said
defending
she screwed
it.
up, and people are still defending her. And like other people have takes of like, oh well, it was a rookie mistake. This is a 26-year-old veteran who's like on the top board of the police union and was training people in that moment. Like,
yeah, she was training.
She's been a cop 1 year less than I've been alive.
Yeah. During the time that you've been able to grow that impressive beard, she has been policing. And far past that, and far. I mean, back when you were baby faced, although I'm convinced she came out like that. I think you may have had that from the beginning. But regardless, she's been doing this for.
It's getting worse. I said I wouldn't even trim it until lockdowns are over, so it'll probably be down to like my knees.
Oh gosh, so you went and turned yourself into Gandalf
because
of the
growing at this point where you are.
Pretty much.
Wow, but I mean, so this is a cop that And here's the thing. Make a mistake. Okay, fine. Made a mistake and it resulted in a tragic death. If you or me or this guy up here did anything even remotely similar, we'd already be in jail and we'd be awaiting the exact charges that we're facing. And then we would end up in prison for it because you can't just accidentally kill people. It doesn't work that way.
Even less than that. If I grabbed that rifle over there and was fiddling around with it and accidentally put a bullet into the wall and hurt no one but the drywall, the police would come and arrest me.
Yeah.
So it's rules for thee but not for me, and that's the biggest issue we're facing right now.
Yeah, some pigs are more equal than others. So tell us about. So you've got you're going to be doing that in Ohio. Do you have anything else going on? And how can people stay in touch with you to find out more about the Unity movement? Unity movement or Unity Coalition?
It's Unity Coalition.
How can people be more involved, and what's some other stuff you guys are doing?
Yeah, so you can get on my Twitter, obviously Magnus Panvidia, and then I'm starting a podcast Thursday that is going to be the Unity or Death podcast. It's kind of taking this idea and going more online with it instead of just local on the ground stuff. But definitely just how to get involved. We kind of have like this growing network of friendly groups. Like we're really close with the Georgia Panthers now. We're obviously really close with everyone in Virginia, Ohio, Kentucky. And a lot of it's just show up and kind of, see what's going on yourself, see what's going on at these events and get involved and kind of, stop, especially if you're a libertarian or even, some form of conservatives. If you call yourself an individualist, then you need to treat everyone as an individual. So if you see someone who's a BLM person or an Antifa person or whatever, and you just immediately reduce them to their label, you're not an individualist. So go out and talk to people one-on-one and find people one-on-one because like there is awful scumbags in every movement and political party and ideology, but there's amazing people in all of them too. And if we can just get all of those amazing people from every corner of the spectrum and form our little Avengers team, we might be able to bring some real change. And that's kind of my hope right now.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. We are being told, by the way, we are told to shout out Tower Gang to you.
Tower Gang. I also want to shout out my friend Olivia Rondo. She has a podcast. She's a big fan of yours, so make happy to shout her out.
Yeah, I know Olivia. Cool,
yeah,
cool.
She wants to talk.
So
I would like that. I would love to be on it. Yeah, go ahead, man.
You have the Alexander Rios Memorial Event May 8th in Mansfield, Ohio at noon.
How do you find the last name before I remembered it?
Because someone put it in the comments.
Yeah, Darth Typhon says.
Darth Typhon put it in the comments.
Yeah, he's one of my boys.
Yeah.
Breaking news in Columbus, we're being told Jimmy Lee is saying that Columbus Police Headquarters protests have entered the headquarters. So that's going to be fun.
That's interesting. I might have to go. But I guess
you got to go now.
No, but real quick also while we're on the subject of police before I go, I think it was like 32 different sheriffs and police representatives are in Texas right now lobbying against constitutional carry. So there you go, gun owners. There you go.
Yeah. They'd never violate our right to keep and bear arms. First of all, they do every day with every gun law that's on the books at both the state and federal level. And second of all, I live in South Carolina, one of the most gun-friendly states on earth in terms of what the population wants. We are fighting just to get open carry right now because there's one lobby that's against it. Well, there's many, but there's one influential lobby that's against it, the police lobby. And they keep putting out this police propaganda about, this could make it where there's more people with guns and we wouldn't even know who's licensed. We couldn't look it up when we were pulling people over, defending people's lives and get home safe to our families. And people eat it up and they go, oh, well, then I guess we can't do it. And the main proponents, and in fact, the gun control groups work with the police groups here in South Carolina to push to stop it. If it wasn't for them, we'd have this is a very, very gun-friendly group of people that live here in South Carolina. And every single person that runs for governor or anything else, even the Democrats act pretty gun-friendly here. And the Republicans, a constitutional carry. And then they get in and go, well, after speaking with the police, I've determined that you actually don't have the right to keep and bear arms.
It's so funny because they always say like, oh, the cops just enforce the law. They don't make them. It's like, well, they sure lobby for them a lot.
Yep.
So what about that?
Yeah. Yeah. They have no problem with that. Justico Mitchell, shout out to Justico for the generous donation. And the message, fan character bouncing their heart-shaped ponytail with stars in their eye.
That is a sticker, and it is describing to you what the sticker looks like.
Oh.
Yeah. I
Interesting.
He sent a sticker.
Unintentional boomerang
instead of showing us the sticker.
I'm reading the thing. And the thing with Justico is he would write something like that. So that's why I was kind of like, maybe he wrote that, but no. That's a very specific description of that.
I read it 3 times and I was like, huh, interesting. And then I thought, oh, that's a sticker from YouTube.
Fan character bouncing their heart-shaped ponytail with stars in their eye. I'm going to have to look up what that looks like after the show.
Is that a title of a song off the mixtape?
It should be. It will be now. This is... I'm sorry, I got to look this up. So, Magnus, I think you already told us, but just in case, how can people find out more about you? Oh, it's a JoJo Siwa thing. That's even weirder. Okay. Tell us... Oh, let me see.
How did you know that was a JoJo Siwa thing?
Because I just Googled it.
Where is it?
That is exactly what that described.
The
How about
algorithms
that?
Are getting too smart.
Really? Yeah, why do they know what that is that accurately? Is there something like, is there a description for the blind where it's like middle-aged Jew with MS and bad haircut in bright shirt? Spreading like anarchist agitprop.
Known domestic terrorist with beard.
Known domestic terrorist.
Homosexual
white
flag.
supremacist. Oh, man. So, okay, sorry. So how, and I think you did answer this, but just in case, how can people find out more about you and how they help and all about the Unity Coalition?
Yeah. So, definitely check out me on Twitter at Magnus Panvidia, and then on YouTube is where my podcast will be, the Unity or Death podcast. And then if you want to see me, you can show up to Columbus to the Alexander Rios event, or I will be at the Michigan LP convention, possibly giving a presentation. I'm not sure, but I really want to. I think it's all about agorism, which is super fun to talk about.
Yes.
Literally sitting in a room and telling people to break the law. It's great.
Well, you don't tell them to break the law. You just say how to break the law. And if they want to do that, that's on them.
Exactly. See, you're much
I didn't say you should do that.
This is why you ran for LP and I got put on a domestic terror watch list. This is
I mean, how, por qué no los dos? Hey, man, thank you so much for coming on, and we really appreciate it. You are a great friend of Muddy Waters, and I will hopefully we'll get to talk to you soon. I'll see you in Michigan.
Absolutely. Y'all have a good night.
Thanks, buddy.
You too, man.
Appreciate
Thank you
coming on.
I love him. Yeah, no, it's fantastic. Yeah, exactly. Joe Hackman. Breaking the law is bad, okay? Like, we don't...
Breaking the law is bad, okay?
Don't break the law, okay? That's funny. J. Adam Weggs tells us that Missouri is about to pass the Second Amendment Protection Act, which is basically not just constitutional carry, but actually they're basically nullifying all federal gun laws in the state. despite opposition from the Sheriff's Association. I wish that we had as much of a grassroots movement here as you clearly do in Missouri, because every time, I mean, we are fighting just to get open carry passed, and they're trying to add all these restrictions to it, open carry, but with background checks and with, educational stuff and all these things. It's like, let people, if the police can be walking around here who, you forget what their taser is, and can be carrying a gun, then the rest of us should be able to carry it too. Oh, Justico, he just selected the $20 sticker. Hey, it's a nice sticker, and it was an accurate description, and I just enjoyed picturing you writing that. That's literally what it was.
They described it very well.
Yeah, no, it's that heart-shaped ponytail. I'm like, what the hell is that? And then I looked, and I'm like, huh, they were bouncing their heart-shaped ponytail. Like, literally.
Literally. Quite.
Actually and literally. Quite literally. So literally. This is the show? We've done the whole show.
That is the whole kit and caboodle.
We literally kitted and caboodled each and every one of you, and we are grateful to you for being here. Also, shout out to YouTube. This is an episode where we had almost as many YouTube viewers as Facebook viewers.
Really?
Which is good, because that's where we actually make money.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Magnus. Yeah. I know that is probably why.
Probably.
I am.
Well, hey, listen, whatever it takes. If we have to do more crossover stuff with YouTubers,
Facebook anymore, because I got kicked off with them.
Yeah, no, how did you? I'm the one out there with them with their signing everyone's. Half the boog have like rifles and plate carriers and freaking panoramic infrared goggle helmets. Whatever those things are. I keep forgetting what those are called. I keep being told and I forget. Signed by me. They got freaking my autograph on them. And you're the one that gets kicked off as a domestic extremist. It just doesn't seem fair. It's not. Like, I don't understand it. Like, I'm still out here walking around despite that.
Yeah. And we are on Float. Judith Reuter, we are on Float. Float.app/Muddied Waters Media, right?
I believe yes. And in fact, we go live on there as well. So float.app/muddywatersmedia. And if you click on live now, you'll see us on there right there. You can give us, you can even donate crypto.
That's right.
Yeah. You donate crypto to us.
Huge shout out to Stephen Witt.
Yeah, Stephen Witt.
Yeah. He donated money for today's show, and I was going to say that this show was brought to you by Stephen Witt, but the show title is so long it wouldn't have fit.
And that rhymes.
So
Stephen Witt's a great guy. He's running for state rep in South Carolina, and I'm working directly with him to help him with his messaging and strategy. I think he's going to do a great job, so I'm really excited to be working with him. And thank you for being a friend of Muddy Waters. It means a lot to us, man.
Yeah, it really does. So tomorrow.
Oh yeah, tomorrow I have Eric Peterson on. He is an expert in all things internet, and we are going to be talking about net neutrality. There is increasing, despite the fact that ending net neutrality is one of the few things that the Trump administration did that was just unequivocally good, and has led to great improvements of internet and has made things better after a few years of backlog and development because of net neutrality. The Biden administration is at least making noises about reintroducing it, and we're going to talk about what that means exactly and why it's bad. And then you have someone on Thursday.
I do, but really quick, CJ Westphal, thank you for being a friend of the show, and also South Carolina's Constitutional Carry Bill 3096 has the Second Amendment Preservation Act amended to it, passed South Carolina House, and is headed to Senate before crossover deadline.
That deadline's the big one there. And the Senate, unfortunately, and I hope that I'm wrong, historically, the Senate is where these bills go to die a death of deadline. So we'll see. There is some momentum behind it. I really, really hope this passes. There is I'm not going to definitely not say that. But if someone were to own a weapon without ever having done anything to have it, that would be good for that person, hypothetically. So we'll see.
And then on Thursday at 8-ish, a Muddied Waters 8, I have Scott Schlutter
Schluter. Yeah, Scott Schluter. Yeah.
Thank you. Scott Schluter is coming on my show. He's the LP candidate for governor of Illinois, and he will be joining me Thursday at Muddied Waters 8.
Muddy Waters 8, and then on Friday and Saturday, I will be in Alaska for the Gold Rush event. If you live anywhere in Alaska, or I guess you can't say near Alaska, because you're either in Alaska or you're nowhere near it. But if you live in, well, I guess if you live in
Canadian viewers,
northern BC, yeah, or none of it, then I guess you're somewhat close to Alaska. If you live in Alaska or Anchorage or Wasilla, then come on out and see, because then it's not even if you live near Wasilla. You either live in Anchorage or Wasilla or nowhere near them. But if you live in Anchorage or Wasilla, come on out to Wasilla. We'll be doing a great event this weekend in Alaska, my first time in Alaska, and I'm going to eat so much fish. My stomach's already bubbling thinking about what I'm about to do to it. It is not happy. And come and hang out. If you aren't near Alaska, you can still take part by registering. You can actually watch the entire live stream. If you've ever considered running for office as a libertarian, this is a must see, cannot miss event. I don't know why I had a hard time saying that, but you should watch it, and you can register. Must see, it's must see TV if you ever wanted to run. Go to alaskaalp.org/goldrush. And then we'll be right back here next Tuesday for another magical episode of the Muddy Waters of Freedom, where Matt Wright and I parse through the week's events like the sweet little 2020 Wonder Boys. 21.
Am I
20
next week?
No, I'll be back.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I hold on. I don't. Now you're making me wonder.
I just want.
No, I'll be. Yeah, no, I'll be back. Yeah, I'm getting in.
Prepared.
I'm getting in early morning, or I guess no, I'm getting in the afternoon on Monday. So yeah, no, I can definitely do tomorrow, next week.
Okay. And remember, everybody out there, please, if you happen to be in the Mansfield, Ohio area on May 8th, Day of Remembrance, 73 East 2nd Street in Mansfield, Ohio, 12 p.m. at the jail. It's the Anthony Rios in remembrance of those that the police killed. And please bring flowers.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. If you can attend that, please do. And Matt, if someone were looking for us on the internet, is that even possible? And if so, how?
That is possible. If
wow.
let's say somebody has terrible taste in what good humans look like and didn't want to see the beautiful faces in front of them that you could see on Float or anywhere else on the internet, and just wanted to hear the sweet, sultry sounds of our
our voices of us, our voices,
voices.
Yes, our voices.
Anchor.fm.
Anchor.fm/Muddy-Waters.
Where you can leave us messages that we will play live on the air.
We will do it.
And you can also donate.
We love you.
We do. We love you.
Give us money. Give us money.
We love
you more when you give us money.
We love you. You give us money. We love a lot of
people. You know what we love about you is when you give us money. We love that.
We really love Jack Casey, who is donating to us twice.
Just in this show.
No, on monthly.
Oh, yeah, we love him. Yeah, oh, yeah, I forgot about him. Yeah, we like the Darth Tarpon guy, too. And Justico Mitchell.
And Justico
J. Wiggs and CJ Westfall.
Yeah.
I think I'm forgetting someone.
Just so many people that
we love you.
My app is pulling up today. So we will thank you all extra special next week.
We will thank you all.
Because we love all so much. And you can find this and every other episode at muddiedwatersmedia.com.
Well, that settles it. I'm going right there right now. Folks, thanks so much for tuning in. We will see you tomorrow on the Muddy Waters of Freedom. We'll see you the day after on the Writers' Book. Nope.
We'll see you tomorrow on My Fellow Americans.
What did I say?
Muddy Waters of Freedom.
Oh, God, no. No, that's not true at all. We'll see you tomorrow on My Fellow Americans. We'll see you Thursday for the Writer's Block. We'll see you Friday and Saturday for Gold Rush, and then we'll see you right back here next week for the Muddy Waters of Freedom. Folks, thanks so much for tuning in. We love you, and where we're going,
we don't need roads.
The wind of God. It's even better. Then sang Moses. and the children of Israel this song unto the Lord. We are about to have it again. Burn! Burn! COVID-19! 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 I'll blow the wind of God from the state of Washington to the state of Maine, to Brownsville, Texas, and the tip of Florida. Today, we speak to this atmosphere. Today, burn this thing. This virus hates heat. You just burn this thing. Burn! Burn! I call for a supernatural heat wave straight out of hell. Burn! Burn! COVID-19! 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 I'll blow the wind of God. Get up! I heard the Lord say this to me several weeks ago. Kenneth, what? You believe me for a heat wave? I walked out in my backyard. I speak to this atmosphere. I call for a strong south wind. I call for a supernatural heat wave straight out of hell. Burn! Burn! COVID-19! 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 I'll blow the wind of God. Hey, in May, it hit triple digits. Hey, in May, a supernatural heat wave. Hey, in May, a supernatural heat wave straight out of hell. Burn! Burn! Oh, I'm telling you, it gets hot down there. It's Africa hot down there, man. Turn the air conditioner off. It gets hot down there. Hot fire. Man, it's hot. Oh, Lord. My goodness, it's hot in here. COVID-19! 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 I'll blow the wind of God. You don't do it. You don't do it. You don't do it. You get out of here now. Burn. You don't do it. You don't do it. You don't do it. You get out of here. Burn this thing. COVID-19. 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 I'll blow the wind of God. And they said, well, you know, and but they saw it.